Alrighty then. We got Myrone. One word, like Madonna. He did a project for something that didn't work out, right? He made a bunch of cool Eurobeat stuff for someone and put it out. He's also an insane guitarist. And over time, Drifters found it, and then Julian found it, reached out, and they started working together. And Julian's used some of his music for Suberty and for Animal Style stuff now. And I think it's just cool how we can get two people in a room who have dedicated their lives to something. Myrone, guitars. Julian, drifting, right? They're both instruments for different art forms, right? You know, if you want to call drifting an art form. I do, but most people think that's stupid. Anyway, it's cool to see them kind of talk about what the differences are, and I was just kind of an annoying bystander in this one, like, but it was cool to do this, and it's a bit of an experiment. So if you want to see more stuff like this, let me know. Also, this song that's playing is one of his. Go download it. Go download his music. Go stream it. You know, help the man out. We're all trying to get by in this world, you know. So anyway, check this one out.
Do we do it? Am I here?
Yeah, I can hear you.
There.
Yes!
Yeah!
We made it. Finally.
What's up, dude?
You know, I'm chilling.
Finally, face to face, kinda.
Yeah. Big moment. Historical moment. Hold on. Are you recording video or just audio?
Both.
Okay, hold on. Let me
Spice it up. Yeah, dude, get spicy.
Yeah, dude, get them guitars in the background.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
So I haven't prepared for this at all.
Neither. You just gotta grip. You gotta grip it and rip it. That's how these things work, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna just let you run it. I feel like you're more professional anyway. Nah, I'm kidding.
What?
Yeah, dude. You do
I'm glad.
You
I'm
do
very
music.
glad.
That's pretty much talking.
I'm glad that I give off that kind of aura of professionalism.
Yeah, you do, man.
Welcome to the Goodest cast by Myrone.
Yeah, hey everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe. We've got a lot of new products coming. I don't know.
Yeah, we got ads. I'm gonna read them. Buy some shit when I make it. Thanks.
Goodest merch.
Yeah.
Coming soon.
It's okay. You know, we're number 4 in Russia for automotive. So.
Oh, good. Yeah,
it's really your
nice.
your audience.
Burning up the charts here.
Hey man, you know, you got to start somewhere. I'd rather be big in Russia than big in like a lot of other places, honestly. Like that means like Snowden might listen to this, dude.
Oh, sick. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Bodhi ate like part of my puppy ate like part of my headphones, and I got this like really short cord, and I can only move like this far away. So
I like your standing desk situation.
Yeah, man. You know, I like to really. It helps me really like podcast better. You know.
Yeah. Well, it's like better posture, and both the pod and posture start with the same sort of syllable.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
That's a fucking serious.
Figure out standing up, or like I was like, should I do a Palmer? Should I set my computer up somewhere? I was like, nah, I'm gonna plop down on this couch here.
I have like atrocious posture standing and sitting, so I just figure might as well,
Do what you can. Yeah. I've been tempted by the standing desk lifestyle a little bit.
It's definitely a lifestyle. It's not a cool lifestyle, like, I wouldn't like brag about it to my friends or anything, but it's an option.
Tall boy problems.
Yeah. Are we all tall? Is this a
Yeah.
exclusive tall guy chat? Okay, cool.
Yeah, no shorts allowed, except for
No.
GME.
Except for what?
GME. It's in reference to the stonks. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Topical.
Yeah. I like to consider this one of the, 3 major news outlets.
Oh yeah, we gotta cover everything. That's what people tune in for.
Yeah.
Oh man, are we doing a pod? Are we going?
Are
we recording?
I think so.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Unless you want to do like a hey guys, welcome to the Goodest cast.
Right. I mean, I do an intro anyway, so like, but we could do another one. Like, I'll do the intro, and then like all this will play, and then like I'll do this intro. Hey guys, welcome.
Welcome again.
Welcome again. 3 minutes in, and you're being welcomed.
Dude, Pat, I heard you got like a little shout out on the D1 stream yesterday from Alexi.
Who's Pat? Who's
what?
Pat? Who's Pat?
Dude, that's you, I think, right?
No, bro, I'm Myrone.
Oh,
Okay.
you're Hugh.
Yeah. Well, no, I recently changed it to Myrone singular because I figured if there could be a guy named The Edge, like there can be a guitar guy named Myrone too.
Just only like any relation to Madonna.
No.
Okay.
Well, I guess we got to hear this then. What's the story? Where did that come from?
Where did Myrone come from? If you have to ask, you'll never know.
Because I mean, yeah, when I first like saw a picture of you, I was like, this guy, his name is definitely Hugh Myrone. Like,
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it is.
I like, rebranding yourself is important,
Yeah, you gotta switch up the outer layer every once in a while just to keep people on their toes,
Yeah. You know what, dude? You got me excited. I'm gonna change my name to something cooler.
Yeah, do it.
I don't know what it is yet, but I'll think about it. I'm gonna throw out ideas during this whole thing.
Imagine if you drifter guys, if everybody had like wrestler names, like I feel like that might be like a good idea, instead of going to see like people with regular names drift, like maybe there's some guy named like, I don't know, like Scorpion or like, so like, oh, you haven't seen the latest Scorpion video? His drifts are super crazy.
Yeah, I'm into it. Can I be Macho Palmer Sandy Savage?
Yeah, there we go. See, that will get people in the stands excited,
Julian's upset.
Hates this idea.
Wait, what happened with D1? You got a shout out? I'm just doing a lot of head shaking. You know what, dude?
I just popped into the chat and I said, "What's up" to Alexi, and he shouted me out on air, which was pretty sick.
Nice. He probably listens to your music all the time. Probably only what he listens to, I would say now at this point.
Hell yeah. Good. Great choice.
Yeah, he's got good taste, naturally. So like I need to at least like point out the like obscurity of this like whatever's happening right here. Like, so you guys met because Julian started. I'm gonna like point arrows, but no one listens.
Yeah. I can.
So
this is good.
you guys met because of music that you made for a video game that never got released, and then just like kind of did cool shit after that.
Yeah.
No,
Like who reached out to who, and then
so so the way it started was this dude who came up to Northwest Trial, our Super D event up in Washington. He made a video. He's like a drone video guy, and he made a video with one of your songs with exclusive coupe. I don't know how you got the accent on it.
That's a listener's choice. Both ways are fine.
Okay, I like it.
So yeah, and I heard it and I was like, dude, what is this? Like that song sounds like, it reminds me of like the ending credits of like a 90s movie. And I'm like, what? This has a sick vibe. And I looked you up, and then I found the game stuff, which, you know, doesn't need to be mentioned. Yeah, and I started digging into your stuff. I found your website, and I was like, you know, I downloaded some of the songs, and I wanted to make a video with it. And I was like, yeah, I should probably reach out to this guy and email him or something. For whatever reason, in my head, like seeing you, I pictured you as like this older guy that wasn't on the internet and didn't give a shit about that. And like, for some reason, I never thought to like look you up on Instagram. And then our buddy Yusuf, who you've talked to now, he's also a musician. He was like, have you ever hit him up on Instagram? And I was like, I didn't even think of that. And then I looked you up, and I'm like, why does this guy not have very many followers? Like, I pictured you being this famous dude. And so
I'm just a guy, bro.
I know. I mean, yeah, so we all are. But so I'm like, all right. So then that's when I messaged you, and you were super chill about it and like excited about it. And I had seen like some of your live stuff, and you had like, you know, cars drifting and racing stuff in the background. I'm like, this guy, he's into this shit a bit. So yeah, it's just
I dip my toe in every now and again, and now that I'm under you guys as like expert tutelage, I'm like, I was actually, funnily enough, I was describing this to someone earlier today, and I was talking about like, I keep getting these temptations where I'm like, oh, like, should I get like a sim rig so I can like hang out with these guys more? And I was telling this guy, it's like when you're cutting wrapping paper with scissors, and you get it where you like don't move the scissors, and it goes, whoa, you know. I feel like that is like what's gonna happen. It's just gonna be like, oh, like, oh yeah, I'll be friends with these guys, and they're like super cool drifters, and then like, whoa, whoops, like,
oh shit, now I'm crashing into a wall, and I need to learn how to fix my broken car. Fuck.
Yeah, but you know,
that'll happen.
I'm scared.
That's pretty much
everyone's
exactly
like,
how
yeah,
it
it's
goes.
probably gonna happen.
That's like how all of us. That's like how all of us got in. Like we're like, I don't know, this drifting thing seems kind of cool, and then you like do it once, and you're like, oh, scissors slipped all the way until I'm broke. You're like pawning guitars and shit for tires.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's funny. Like when like me and Julian talk about this stuff, there's so many parallels with like guitar and music where I feel like it seems to me like all the drift guys, you're like chasing this feeling, you know, of like when you get the car sideways and it feels a certain way, and it's like how far can you push the envelope before you lose control? And it's a lot like, you know, the feeling that I'm always perpetually chasing as a musician is like the first time when I jammed with like a drummer and a bass player, and you hit a chord together, and you're like, whoa, like the sound, you're like, whoa, that's crazy. Like, all right, I want to do this like 80 million more times. And you're always just chasing.
Yeah, it's pretty much like the first time you tandem sig.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like even more so like with driving with other cars, like you will go to an event and like you won't really like feel like you've achieved what you're trying to do until you like throw down like a really cool tandem run with like multiple cars. I'm sure it's the same thing with like, you know, doing music with people.
Yeah,
I
like
never thought about that actually. That's
when
really
you-
interesting.
Well, yeah, because I mean, it's very similar. Like, there's a lot of, especially in like tandem drifting, there's like a lot of rhythm and there's a lot of like. It's funny. I use all this like music terms when I think about it because when I see the cars like moving like this, like in rhythm, and it's to me, it's like when you're like looking at a drummer and you're finding out like, you know, how does he like swing the hi-hat, like where does he place the kick and the snare, like when he plays, and you watch that and then you react and you change what you're doing based on that. And when I see you guys like lock in, like doing like the burst pass or whatever, I'm like, they're just like locking into a groove. Like it's the same thing kind of, it's just the instruments are different and the stage is different, but it's the same kind of like magic space that we like enter into.
Yeah, it's like a weird clairvoyance almost, where you have to like know what the other people are gonna do before they do it, so you can like be there. Yeah. Man, that's a really interesting perspective. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's true.
Dude, we're like 10 minutes in and my mind is
Okay,
blown.
good. Great.
Dude, drift band animal style. That's what we are.
Well, I'm not. We have to engineer the situation where like somehow there's like shredding and drifting simultaneously going on. Like we need to find an eccentric billionaire to give us $2 billion to achieve our vision.
Yeah.
And that's my TED Talk. And thank you so much for coming.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Thank you for peeing.
Oh, nice.
That's very generous.
Nice.
Yeah, we need to make that happen. I don't think we don't need a billionaire, although.
Oh, come on. Don't sell yourself short.
They're out there. There's billionaires that care about
drifting
and shredding at the same time.
We just gotta manifest it, you know, speak it into existence.
Yeah, like drifting alone, we're not gonna find the eccentric billionaire, but if we try and like bring the like music spectrum in, you know, you never know. Dude.
I'm telling you, there's I don't know what like. If I quit being facetious for a second, I really think there is like a really cool intersection between like car stuff and music, because the way I like my like music project, a lot of the music is inspired by like racing games, just like, you know, the music that was in best motoring videos, like all that stuff. So like it's weird, like I got into like drifting specifically just because like I was looking for like that type of music, and it's like, oh, it just happened so that like or like, you know, like I watched Initial D and I'm like, whoa, the music is like super fire, like what is all this? And, you know, you nerd out on the music from Initial D, and then you're like watching Initial D, you're like, well, I mean, drifting seems pretty sick too. And then but like there's this kind of weird like crossover between like people who like music that you can drive to, and then like drivers who, you know, put music in the movies that they make. Which is,
I mean, there's definitely like a big, like a lot of people will have like sound systems and like listen to music when they drift and stuff, and like the choices that they make are usually pretty interesting.
Yeah,
you know,
those type of like little like music subcultures are super fascinating to me. Anything that's like outside of like, you know, the traditional like music structures that we have, at least in America, like in terms of like radio, like how people like find new music, whenever the venue is like slightly different, like, you know, drift events or like stuff like that, I like love. Like, have you guys ever like watched Jamaican sound clash videos?
Mm-mm.
Oh man, okay, that's a great rabbit hole to go down. I won't take up a bunch of time, but it's like the best way I can describe it is like it's like these guys in Jamaica, and their whole thing is like playing like rare records, and it's kind of like a DJ battle.
Yeah.
But the way, I mean, I'm probably like gonna mess this up because I just know I'm not like super deep into like the culture, but I've just like watched the videos. But they play like beats back and forth, and it's all about like getting like rare like dub plates, which are like
rare vinyl.
like yeah. But like they'll get like custom ones made where it's like a really like famous song, but they'll get the producer to be like, oh, like shout out like this DJ like at the front. So when they play it and it's like a really big song that everybody loves, and then it like says like, oh, shout out this DJ, and the DJ will play it, and they'll just stand there like this, and it'll be like, yes, I'm like the greatest, and then like people are like like shooting off air horns and like just like going crazy. And then like I saw one where the crowd started cheering really loudly, and the DJ literally just goes shh, 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 like, and like turns down the music and then turns it back up to like, so like the audience can hear that the DJ like shouts out his name. It's great, but it's cool because it's like a different sort of format for like listening to music than you're like usually like used to, and because of that influences the actual music that gets played at those kinds of events, and vice versa, and it all like works against and for each other.
So I guess you could say you made dub plates for Julian.
No, I have not. I'm not, definitely not cool enough to do that, but I've watched people on YouTube play their rare dub plates, and the crowd goes wild.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't like press anything, but you made him like some shit for videos, at least. In a sense, it's it's not one and the same, but it's similar a little bit.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool.
So I guess my question for you guys, flipping the podcast format around a little bit.
Do it.
What do you guys know about like the 808 cowbell, like I guess the kids are calling it like funk with like an O.
Yeah,
because it seems Phonk. Yeah, it's like the new like
yeah.
It's like what the kids are like associating with like street racing and drifting now. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, Geronimo,
I've seen
Geronimo does like Phonk Fridays.
Yeah.
Music like that.
So he shoots a bunch of like he shoots like film, and he shoots digital, and he shoots some like high 8 stuff, and he'll like edit like high 8 videos to Phonk, and it's pretty cool. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm old, I guess. I don't know enough about it.
I feel like I'm like near your guys' age, and to me, like drifting forever for me will always be like the crazy like Eurobeat, or like the kind of like the, how do you describe it? Like it's like rock music, but there's like kind of like a car vibe to it. Like the Gran Turismo core or whatever. Like that to me is always like when I see like the sick like JDM car, like that's the music that's playing in my mind. So it's cool to see like another generation who's like growing up, they have like their like, oh, like when I see the AE86, like this is the song like for the TikTok that I use,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I definitely.
Can you tell that I've been inside for a year with just my thoughts?
I mean,
it's like way more locked down in LA than here, huh?
Oh yeah, I mean it's crazy. I mean it's not crazy. Like they gotta like lock it down because it's just like it got so out of control here. But yeah. Anyways,
my brother's down there. It's weird. I went to visit him, and it was like, yeah, probably shouldn't have done that, but hey, you gotta see family when you can.
Yeah, I mean,
especially when they need help.
It's tough. It's a super tough situation.
Yeah.
Back to drifting, because we could go down the COVID rabbit hole, but that's not what people are tuning in for the pod for. Like we all have that conversation
Nope.
like all day, every day.
No one
you know?
cares.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dude, I love how you chuck in like a song that sounds straight out of Initial D now and then. Like,
Oh
totally
yeah.
around.
There's doing Eurobeat like that is the most, like, the people that make that stuff for real are like gods. I have no idea, because the music is like so intricate, and like the programming for it and like the playing is like legitimately insane. And like these guys, like that guy Dave Rogers is like one of the names that like that guy puts out Eurobeat under. He has like 3 other names, and he just like for years cranked that stuff out like crazy. How? It's insane.
I feel like I like don't know any of the history behind.
You don't know
Eurobeat, or,
about
like,
Dave Rogers? Come on.
I don't know
He's
anything.
Like Eurobeat to me is like the shit I've heard in Initial D. I never like listened
Yeah.
to it that much.
Oh,
But,
you never
yeah.
you never like nerded out on it like I did? Okay.
No,
I was like,
not really.
No way.
for a good 20 seconds, I was like, oh wait, these guys aren't like freaks about music like you are. Yeah, no. So all that music from Initial D, it's like all these Italian guys that made it.
Whoa, what?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess
because
I guess Eurobeat would come from Europe.
Well, so here it is.
Ah.
So Eurobeat is like, it's like an evolution of like Italo disco, which is kind of like in Italy, they kind of had like when synth pop was big in the 80s,
Yeah.
like they kind of had like this sort of sound called like Italo disco, and it was like really popular there. And it's like it's awesome. It's so cool. It's very like Miami Vice, like Scarface type music.
I love that music.
And then Eurobeat is kind of like, as it transitioned out of the 80s into the 90s, like like the synthesizers and the music gear changed, the sounds changed. Like Eurobeat's kind of like the evolution of that, but like Eurobeat is like super fast. Like it's got all like the Eurobeat like brass sound, like is it's one of like the hardest sounds in the entire world to like sound design and get to sound as like aggressive and stabbing as like those guys. It's like mind boggling the depth of like sound design and programming that those guys did. But that's where it comes from, is from Italo disco, I think.
Huh.
That's like my basic, like, oh, let me look this up on Wikipedia like one day. So I'm not like an expert at that genre, but I like kind of know.
I don't know that many are. I would say that probably.
Oh, dude, there's
very
like
few are.
I kind of feel like a Eurobeat like poser a little bit, because I don't like. I'm not like an exclusively like Eurobeat like artist. Like there's some guys like out there who like
That's all
they're
do.
like, no, like I make Eurobeat, and I'm like, yeah, of course you do, because like it's so hard, and like you really gotta like put in the hours and be like a master of it. I'm just like, oh, I can probably like play guitar on a genre like this. Let me make a track,
I feel like a poser at drifting sometimes, so
Well, yeah, we all struggle with imposter syndrome. It's all part of the the inner work that we do every day to become more evolved human beings.
So like how did like I really do wonder how Japan got a hold of it, and they're like, this is the music that we play when we race the mountains. Like this is what we play in the Hachiroku. Like I guess it was the 80s, right? So that's like,
well, Initial D was like 90s. So I don't know how it worked, because the label that puts all that stuff out is this label Avex Tracks in Japan, which is I think it's like the biggest label over there. I think it would be like analogous to our like Universal or something like that. But somehow like they were in charge of it. And the Japanese music industry is like really fascinating because there's a lot of stuff. Obviously there's a lot of like Japanese musicians, but there's also like, you know, people from other countries that you know, place songs there. And so I'm wondering, I really would love to know the story of like who was like the Italian guy that made like the connect in Japan to Avex. It was like, I know this guy Dave Rogers, he makes this crazy Eurobeat stuff, and they're like, oh, this is perfect for this anime that's coming out. But I haven't been able to find the truth yet, so the search continues.
How did you even like? Where did you see Initial D? Like,
when did I see it?
Like, how did you see it?
I had a friend in high school who was like, he was kind of like a little bit into drifting. Like, I remember one time I saw him like go around a corner and like pull a handbrake like on a residential street, and like he almost hit my car, which was a little scary. But I remember kind of talking with him about it, and he was like, "Oh, bro, you should watch this show Initial D. Like, it's all about like drifting versus driving grip." And I was like, "Whoa, this guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about." And I like, I think like I eventually watched it. And I had that like kind of like light bulb moment when like the first time in Initial D when they played that song "Running" in the 90s. I was like, oh, like that's that song from like that weird like "You're the Man Now, Dog" meme like webpage. Really dating myself here, by the way. And I was like, oh, that like there's like more of like this kind of like crazy music. Okay, cool, sick. And so it's just like, oh, I like both of these things. The music and the show is pretty cool, and I just kind of like worked my way through it.
I think it's kind of crazy how many people got into drifting because of Initial D. Like, especially like in the early days.
It's crazy that people like getting into drifting these days have never seen it. Also,
yeah, that I guess that is pretty. That's pretty crazy,
that's almost the crazier part. Yeah, because I know like a lot of people who found drift. Like I know a dude who had an 8.6 and like didn't know about drifting, and then he watched the like anime with his friends, and he was like, "Oh, I have that car." Whoa. And then he went and started like driving the mountain with it because he's like, well, I have the car, I might as well do the shit from the show.
That makes sense. Like, I see that a lot in music, actually, specifically like with guitar players. Like a lot of people who are my age, I'm 31. A lot of people who are my age, like
same,
who grew up in the 90s, like they're like, if we're talking about like metal guitar players, a lot of people's like entry point into like metal was like Metallica. So like people, you know, like I can viscerally remember like one of my older brothers like turning on Metallica, like, and I was like, yes, like this rocks. I like this. But now it's like little kids who get into metal now, who grew up in like the 2000s. Like those kids are into like I don't know if you guys listen to this band Periphery. The guitar player from that band, Misha, he's like to these kids like what like Kirk Hammett was to people who are my age. He's like like when you're a kid and you like go and you're in the airport and you want to buy like Guitar World. When I was a kid, it was like, oh, Kirk Hammett, like those type of people. And now it's just like, so I think for like with Initial D, it's like a lot of people who are our age. That was that was like the gateway drug of that time. But as time goes on, the gateway drugs change. Like whatever the popular piece of media that helps, you know, bring new people into a sport or a lifestyle or music or whatever, those things are constantly changing. And it's
whatever they find
it's
on
interesting
YouTube
because like now. You know, well, yeah, and you always attach like a lot of meaning to like the first thing that you experience. So like
Yeah.
it is weird to us. It's like, oh, how are these kids have never seen Initial D? Like come here and sit down. I'm like, let me tell you about like this anime with like sort of janky like 3D graphics and like a very interesting soundtrack choice. And now it's different. But that's cool though. That's how the thing can like grow and evolve and change and like stay fresh.
Have a seat, young man.
What do you mean you never listened to Limp Bizkit?
Yeah, no, that like okay, that's like the next thing that's happening now is people are like, you like play like they're like, who's Fred Durst? You're like, come on, man.
That's an unacceptable question.
You never put on a red Yankees cap backwards, like.
Slap break stuff.
What are you talking? You what do you mean you never dressed up as Limp Bizkit guitar player Westmoreland for Halloween? You never did that? What's wrong with you? How are you a guitar player?
You mean you never put in fake contact lenses that were black just so you could like what? Who didn't one of the?
Yeah.
I don't know anything.
That
was a dude, right? You wear like the like black contact lenses.
He's very like performance art. He's got like he like goes on stage with like a very like artistic look. It's sick.
He's the 2000 Slash, okay?
Yeah.
Changed my mind.
Straight up. That's a great analogy.
Blacked out eyeballs are the fucking 2000s Slash top hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think of who my drifting Slash in front of the chapel would be. You know?
Or even crazier that people like they have no inspiration from like D1 either, which is still going on, but like some people are really into drifting and they've never even seen like any Japanese drifting, which is weird because when we started,
they find it later and they're like, yeah, you saw clips from Japan, and then maybe if you were lucky, you'd see some drifting in real life of some dudes that had like a 240 with a K and like maybe an LSD. And you're like, oh, that's kind of sick.
Yeah, they find.
I don't know. It's kind of weird because
later, and they're like, "Where's the tire smoke?"
Like, they didn't have that back
then. Yeah, because they're used to. Well, it's if I was going to relate it back to music, it's kind of like how hip hop started at a very specific place. It was at a party in Brooklyn where it like first happened, where like someone was DJing and someone was saying something on a microphone.
DJ Kool Herc.
Yeah. And it's like drifting's the same, where like it started in Japan, or like it got popularized there. I don't you guys know more about drifting than me. But like it seems like
you know way more about music than us, so this is great.
Yeah, this is why we're having a podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like it's interesting to watch this thing which is born out of like a very specific place, and like even today it has all the flair and like the influence of that very specific place, but at the same time it's going global and it's picking up all this other stuff from like other cultures in the process. But like in doing that, it's creating situations where people like don't like necessarily understand like where the origin is, or they like like their knowledge of the history is incomplete because they're not going back far enough.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think the hip hop comparison is the best one because they started around the same time, and then also like in drifting, you had like the shiny suit era, which was like BN big wheels, like 2000s era, and then like now we're in the whatever, we're like getting into the realm of hip hop where like there's so many different subgenres and like all the new shit is like so confusing, and then there's like the purists that like only listen to old shit, and then there's like the purists that only listen to old shit from one place. And like that's the same thing in drifting. I just realized we're annoying.
No. Guitar is the same way too. Like you have people that like like it's funny because like in everybody's mind, like when you're like, oh, what's an electric guitar sound like? That's different to everybody. To me, there's like a very, when people are like, oh, electric guitar, I think of like a hyper specific sound, and it's like one of the things that I've chased my whole life. But just as you said, just like in drifting, there's people that like appreciate like only certain eras. There's a guitar. It's like people like, I like 60s and like early 70s guitar players, like the English like blues stuff. I like that. There are people that only like, blues stuff from the 50s or whatever. There are people that like only like, like weird stuff from the 90s. It's great. I love it because everybody has like you can't like know it all and you can't learn it all. So it's fun to like see what like people get like attached to, because a lot of times it can be like, I won't say like arbitrary, but like for example, me, like I like the style of guitar playing that I do because one of the first albums that I ever got as a guitar player is when I started playing guitar. My oldest brother, I got 2 CDs when I got my first guitar when I was 8. My parents gave me Chet Atkins' Greatest Hits, which is cool. Chet Atkins is a great player. And then my brother gave me the first Van Halen album with like
I was gonna
Eruption
make
on
a
it
Van
and all that
Halen
stuff.
joke earlier, and I'm glad
Oh,
I
please.
didn't.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
yeah. And like, I mean, I had those 2 CDs, but I clearly listened to like one more, and like, just like that, like kind of like weird, like almost random choice that my brother made. He could have given me like anything. Like he listens to a lot of
Yeah.
different music. He's like, "Oh, you're gonna play guitar? Like you'll like this." And I heard Eruption. And I was like, "Oh, yeah! Like I'm trying to do this. This sounds awesome." And that like that's like the trajectory of my life. It could have been something else. So I guess like drifting is the same way because it's
Absolutely.
drifting.
We're all trying to
Drifting
emulate
is
the best run we've ever seen in Mahon. Like,
yeah,
that's
and
pretty
it's
much it.
and the funny thing about drifting, it's like yeah, it's like it happens like that, right? There's like a moment where you like see it or you experience it, and it like rewires your brain. You're like, oh,
That's
that was
it.
so cool. Like that's how
Yeah.
like guitar stuff was for me. Like I would see somebody do something and I'd be like, oh, like that sounds so cool. And then you spend like your entire life like, how did he do that? Like what is it like this? Like and like that the process like, informs your tastes. It informs like, what you like, what's cool and what's not. But it all comes back to that like little like nanosecond of time where you see something and then like everything stops. And you're like, and the hairs go up, and you're like, oh,
Yes.
what was that?
That's really kind of
Like
interesting
rewind
because
time. I need to figure out what that was.
if you use that same perspective, it's like, you can watch someone play the guitar, right? Like you can watch someone play exactly what you're trying to play or play something that you're like, how the fuck did they do that? Like, and it's the timing, it's the exact precise timing, like pressure, like, exact movement that makes it what it is. And like, you can watch somebody drift well, like you can watch someone drift, like it's the exact same thing. And we'll watch stuff and it's like, how the fuck, like
yeah, like I was watching Naoki last night on D1. Like, and it's just like when you watch him versus all the other guys, like when he flicks the car out, like it's like watching a demon. It's crazy. It's like just
Yeah.
just like it's like 1% like a little bit harder and like a little bit like just crazier than everybody else. And you're like, like what is
like,
that? Like,
you're like, how the fuck does he do that?
Also, like, it's just like it's like when you see like a guitar player like hit like a really hard lick or like hit the guitar like 1% harder than like you thought was possible. And you're like, oh, like you simultaneously like wonder like how they did it, and then also like how they had the courage to also do that, like in that kind of like high pressure competition like moment.
Damn.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's something I've never thought about in that way. But it's crazy how much shit you know about drifting for never having experienced.
Bro, I don't know anything. Like sometimes you guys like there've been a couple times during this podcast when you guys like start talking about like technical terms, and I'm like, yeah, totally. Like I know what you guys are talking about. Like I'm still like so like surface level with it. Like I'm still at that point where I'll see something and I'll recognize that it's cool, but I don't know why. It's like when I sent that photo to you the other day, and like I was just like, full context. I sent a full photo to Julian of like a car with like a funny vanity plate. I won't say what the vanity plate is to not, like narc on my neighbor, but it was a Corvette with a funny vanity plate. And I sent it to Julian, and Julian was like, "Oh yeah, like I know what tires those are. Like he probably doesn't like drift very fast." And I was like, how do you like? It's crazy, like that you like know that just by like looking at like the tire tread, you know?
Yeah, it was like a newer Corvette with Federal 595s on the rear. Like that's not a Corvette tire. You don't go fast on that.
Yeah.
That's like the shit that we got years ago because they were cheap in 18s, and yeah, that's it. They're cheap. They're not really good in any other way.
595 sometimes, but hey, to each their own, dude. Yeah, things have changed. Like, I guess it probably happens in music too, right? It's like,
oh yeah,
I don't know what
it's the same stuff.
I don't know what it looks like because you guys have. I mean, the technology of guitars hasn't changed much, right? Like,
dude, it changes every day.
It's what like everything
changes.
Really?
Every day there's something new. Oh my gosh.
Like, what do you swap out is there some crazy pickups or something? Like, I don't know anything about guitars. Please don't make me sound stupid.
No. You're very smart. You're extremely intelligent and very smart.
I appreciate that coming from someone who I just met.
You're correct in the sense that fundamentally the guitar is basically the same as when it was, I won't say invented because the electric guitar was invented years before, but like in the 50s when the Fender Strat and Telecaster and the Les Paul came out. So like that time period of like 1955 to 1957, 58.
Those are the only two guitars that I know by name.
Well, funnily enough, those two guitars are basically like the two prototypes for every single guitar that's ever made. There are guitars with like different types of, I'm about to say a bunch of guitar terms which you won't know, but like different scale lengths and different like pickups and stuff. But like they're all kind of based on like those two. And every once in a while, somebody comes out with a new design that's like, whoa, like that's crazy. But fundamentally,
it's 7 strings.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly.
Zany.
That's a perfect example. Yeah, or 7 strings, fan frets, like. But fundamentally, it's still like that same 50s
this one's got
technology.
2 necks. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
this one's got a keyboard on it.
Yeah,
dude, three whammy bars, dude.
All of those things, y'all are being facetious, but all of those things exist. But fundamentally, it's the same 50s tech of you've got an electric, you've got a metal string, and you've got a magnet with wires around it, and when you move the string, that creates when you move the string through the magnetic field created by the magnet underneath it, that creates an electric current, which creates the signal that you amplify, and that's how you get an electric guitar. It's fundamentally, it hasn't really changed, but like they're like improvements, and people come up with like little, it's like your cars, right?
Yeah, I guess tires would be the same forever. It's rubber and you mount it to a wheel, and it's what the fuck is the difference?
But like people are like, oh, if you angle the wheel like this, or if you use like this size in the front and this size in the back, it's the same thing. Like people like, it's not so much like the fundamentals change, but like the little tweaks. Like so. Yeah, so like in guitar, it's like how thick a guitar string are you using? Are you using thick strings or using thin strings? How far are the strings like off the fretboard? Do you use high action? Do you use low action? Like, do you use a
Interesting.
guitar with a whammy bar? Do you use a guitar with a stop tail? Like, do you use humbucking pickups or do you use single coils or P90s? Like, there's all these different like little flavors and like variations that you can use in any combination or any order to like create your like, you know, your signature sound. And it's like the same thing in drifting. It's like you guys like set up, first of all, you guys, you know, the first choice is the car. Like, oh, like what car? Like, how do you like the weight to be distributed? What kind of engine do you like putting in it? What kind of tires? What kind of how do you set up the car? How, like, do you like how do you like, I don't know, like tune the ratio of the gears? Like, if at the end of the day, it's kind of like a personal preference that's
Somebody's
informed
played
by
a lot
like,
of Gran Turismo apparently here, and it's not just Julian. And
oh
I.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
GT2 was my game
Woo!
growing up.
Dudes, yes.
With like
yeah.
with GT2, was it GT2 or GT3 that had Turbo Lover by Judas Priest in that?
That was 3.
I think it's GT3. Okay.
That was 3. Turbo
Two-
Lover was the
two-
intro song. Judas Priest.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then two had Stone Temple Pilots and
Oh yeah.
and Dragula. Dragula
Yeah.
in that soundtrack. So sick. Great game. What's the one super OP car in GT2? The Pikes Peak.
Oh, Suzuki
Oh,
S
Where
Scudo.
like
Scudo?
yeah.
Where you
Yeah,
can make it
where
like
you can
1,000
get
horsepower.
Yeah, it's fond memories of taking that on the oval and just getting it up to like 250 miles an hour or however fast I went.
There was also
Okay.
the Renault van thing, like turbo van.
I don't remember
Oh
that.
yeah.
Remember that thing?
Damn, dude.
That thing was sick.
Yeah. You might need to blow off the dust off the PS1 and
I know.
boot that bad boy up.
Yeah.
Have y'all heard about how people are?
I feel like I should have played like Guitar Hero so I have something to like relate on the other end or something.
No. This is good.
Dude, check
I'm
this
all
out.
impressed. I'm
great.
impressed.
Dude, I don't know if you've heard of this guitar, dude.
Oh, a Mighty Axe. Yeah.
No, you did not
You
just
seen
pull
one
out
of
a
these
fucking
axes,
Guitar Hero
dude?
controller. I feel like if any, I don't know. Julian's like good at all the Julian's really good at like the challenging types of things, but then like
the rhythm
joining
games?
the podcast on time, you know.
Hey, we
Hey,
all
man.
have our strengths and weaknesses, you know.
Yeah.
We don't.
Yeah.
This is not NFL Madden where you can just max out the points like all the way across.
Yeah.
You know, you got to allocate those skill points in a way that makes sense for you.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Sometimes being on
Like Tony
time.
Hawk Pro Skater, like I don't have that good of a hang time, you know. I've noticed. Like I jump, but I fall. Like I'm not good with like gravity, you know.
Yeah.
Or,
But you make
or
up for it
saying
another way.
goodbye.
Yeah, that too. I'm really bad at like leaving places. Like if I go somewhere and I'm like, all right, I'll see you later, and then I'll like forget what I was doing, and then I'll forget that I was leaving, and then
They'll
I'll
hang
like
out
start
for like
BSing
another
about
half
something.
hour, and then just out of nowhere he'll just be gone. You're like, oh, where's Palmer? Guess it's
That's
time
good.
to go.
He's bad at
There's a-
he's bad at saying goodbye, but he's also very mysterious. So
Yeah,
True.
it evens out.
yeah. I mean, we all strengths and weaknesses, I guess. I don't know. So are you gonna like come try drifting with us? Are you gonna like we gotta make this happen somehow.
I like want to so bad. I think the move is the next time you guys go to, what is it, Apple Valley? That's the one kind of east of LA.
Yeah.
I feel like the next
Yeah,
time
it's
you
like about
guys are there.
Are you? Yeah. Are you? You're in what part of LA are you in? Are you like?
I'm in downtown LA.
Are you in LA proper?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like an hour and 45, I think, from you.
Yeah. Perfect. I'm there.
Yes, that's not bad, and that's a good one to come to. Like if you want to get like the real like gritty, grimy like drifting that we enjoy, that's the place.
I feel
That's
like
just
a
the
type
Wild
of
West.
situation where there's like a little bit of like, where like if I get in the car and I try to do it and I'm like scared because someone's gonna yell at me, like I feel like that might be, well, it could be bad, but it also like pressure makes diamonds, but also I get anxiety. So who's to say whether it's really good or bad?
Yeah.
But I am open to that sort of vibe for my first time, if that makes sense.
Sick. Yeah, there's like one guy that runs the track and he doesn't anyway. I don't think he'd care. Like literally the only thing he's trying to stop
so
is
it's more so it's more of a relaxed vibe, is what you're saying.
Yeah, very
absolutely.
much.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's not a
great,
world class.
okay.
It's not a world class racetrack. Yeah, it's
So I'm not
about
gonna
the
yell at
closest to a Japanese run racetrack in the
Okay.
U.S. as you can get.
Sick. Love
Where
it.
it's like one dude on a crappy like golf cart thing yelling at people for like, you know, doing ludicrous things at a racetrack, and that's about it.
Wonderful.
There's, like,
that sounds like a party to me.
Cases and cases of empty wine bottles near his home at the track.
his home on wheels.
Yeah. You know, hey, if you live in the desert, you might as well party naked.
No, that guy, dude.
I don't know.
That guy lives the life. He just needs a drift car, and then he's got it all.
Dude, right?
Are you also
gotta put
trying to convince that guy? Is he a grip driver? Is that a source of tension between you guys
Yeah.
in the track?
Yeah, he grips his golf cart through the pits. He could. I don't know. We could put a bigger motor in the golf cart, like Michael Bigland's.
Yeah, dude.
Fuck, I gotta get on him on here and tell a story in person. Shit's so funny. I'm not gonna ruin that. Michael Bigland's like grew up in a town where they literally only had like they had regular cars, but like the entire city was designed around the concept of people only needing a golf cart to like get around. So like all the kids would drive golf carts to school.
Where is this? This sounds amazing.
It's in Georgia.
City, Georgia.
Peachtree,
Yep.
Georgia? Is it close to Atlanta?
Yeah.
Yeah, Peachtree City.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah.
It's just it's
So it's
golf
literally
carts
like it's
only vibe.
Yeah,
he
like
said,
the cops drive
like,
golf carts.
No, they don't. You guys are pranking me. The cops do not drive golf carts. That's it. That's
Google
They do.
Peachtree
They
City.
absolutely do. Yeah.
this better not be a prank.
It's not a prank. It's him telling us like the shenanigans that he would get into with like his
Oh
friends.
my
and
god!
stuff
All the
growing
pictures
up in
are
this town.
golf carts.
Dude,
No,
Michael Bigland's is D-Magic.
when I learned this, I
crazy.
was upset with him for never telling me this. I was like, dude, I've known you for how
He-
long, and I didn't know
but-
you lived in fucking
Well,
golf
what-
cart land.
This,
What he
oh
said,
my
what he
God,
said
this
is
crazy.
he never realized that it was like a thing because that's where he grew up. He never like thought it was that
Oh,
weird
that
until
was
he
just
started
that was just
explaining it.
normal to him.
Yeah, pretty much. He was like, yeah, I never really thought about it. I guess like that doesn't happen anywhere else. I was like, yeah, dude, no. But like him and his dad hot rodded.
Wow.
They hot rodded his golf cart, and he said like his, you know, one of the shining moments of his childhood was driving the golf cart to school that day, and it was doing like 40 miles an hour, and he was just like dusting all the other golf carts, and like they would go drifting in it and stuff too. Oh my god, dude.
So are there? So all
he
the
peaked
roads
early, dude.
are golf cart roads.
Yeah, literally, like there's all these like pathways designed for only golf carts, and like that's how you get around the whole city.
Not the whole city, but there's
Like
There's
people
like
have
there's a
garages and
zone.
cars and stuff.
it's very golf cart friendly.
Yeah,
Is
it's
there a lot
called-
of golf courses?
I would hope so, but if not, it would be
Dude, I
even
don't-
funnier.
For the Wikipedia page for Peachtree, Georgia, I'll just read it aloud. Peachtree, Georgia is the largest city in Fayette County, Georgia, United States. As of the 2010 census, blah, 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 blah. Here's the population. Here's where it is. Second bullet point. Peachtree City is noted for its extensive use of golf carts. Over 10,000 households in the city own golf carts, and most of the areas in the city can be reached via more than 90 miles of golf cart paths. This is like, this is
This is an
the
urban planner.
work of who is in
Yeah,
charge?
how did that start?
Who's the urban planner? Like, you know what, dude?
That's
I got an idea, man. People like golfing. People like golf carts. People like the
Oh
suburbs.
my
People like getting
gosh.
pizza.
I'm never going to be able
You
to
think,
stop
like,
thinking
it's
about
known-
this.
You'd think like it's known for peach trees, and then
Yeah.
no,
It should be
golf
called.
cart.
It should be called Golf Cart Georgia. Let's be real, dude.
I
Park
wonder.
City.
We need to start
I
a
wonder
petition
if
to
that-
sign the name or change the name of Peachtree, Georgia to Golf Cart Georgia.
Golf
Golf Cart
City.
City. Yeah.
I wonder what their like do they have a good carbon footprint because it's only golf carts, or
I feel like they probably would.
Are they, or do they run like the gas golf carts that you can like
No, they're mainly electric. They've
mainly
been,
electric?
They're very, very ahead of the curve there. He said that on 4th of July they have like a golf cart parade, and like
That's so
yeah,
cool.
yeah. And he's like, they had a golf cart like customization shop where you could like take it and like have them mod your golf cart and like do all kinds of stuff.
This sounds like a Easter egg area in like Grand Theft Auto or something. Like, this is, like, how is this real?
It doesn't sound like a real place. Like there was a lot of questions that came up, and all the answers were exactly what you would expect if you were making a made up place, but it's a real place.
Oh shit.
Okay, here we go. History. In 1957, Flat Creek was dammed to create Lake Peachtree. In 1959, Joel Cowan established the city's network of golf cart paths. So it was a guy. He was like, "Here's the
This
plan.
one dude.
Here's like my vision for
My
like
utopian
this-
future."
Yeah, like, damn, that rocks.
Oh, dude, I want to go.
Yeah, I asked when you land at the airport, do they have like golf?
Yeah, do they have
golf
to
cart
fly?
rentals?
Do they? Well, maybe the planes are smaller because it's golf cart. So
Yeah,
like,
they use
only
golf.
little-
They use
Like
only-
Uber,
they use
Only
golf
little
carts to like.
Uber golf cart.
They use golf carts to like tow the plane to the fucking to the runway. And they use like golf carts for the baggage like trucks and shit. Oh my god, dude. It's
never-
endless.
I
It's
cannot-
fucking
I cannot-
endless.
I cannot believe you poisoned my brain with this knowledge of like a utopian society where they only use golf carts, and it's in Georgia.
It is
That's
a utopian society.
Wild.
Yeah, we all need to go
Wow.
there pretty much. I think we need to take like a big bus of people and just like go, and we need
And
to
then
all
drift the
rent
golf carts, and then
Yeah.
you upload it to the Hoonigan YouTube channel, and it's 1 million views, and you become national heroes. And then one of my songs is in there. Okay, great. All right, that's the plan.
Yeah. I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised there isn't like. I mean, I'm sure there's got to be like some fucking YouTuber who went there and it's like, guess what? I'm in Peachtree City. Or no, actually, probably no one cares. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm in Peachtree City and I'm golf carting around the pass. I don't know. Some travel blog. I don't know.
No, there is.
There is.
Peachtree City. Oh, well, the first hit on YouTube is the City of Golf Carts. 1.1 million views, uploaded 2 years ago. Peachtree City virtual golf cart tour. The police drive smart cars. There's
They must have
there's
upgraded. I blame Michael. And his hot rodded golf cart. They probably are like,
yeah.
you know, like when the
The
cops
C-
get like a fast one, like one fast car because like someone like ditched them super crazy, and they're like, we need one Camaro, and then they like make like a CHP Camaro. That's what the smart cars are.
Oh my
for
God.
Peachtree City. Imagine being like a cop there, and like chasing down perps in golf carts in a fucking smart car.
How many drunk kids are running around in their golf carts on a Friday night?
Ah, God, you could do
Can you
like
can you get a GCUI?
golf cart under the influence. Yeah, I wonder how that works. Like, how, like, do they
Like, do
treat
you need a
golf?
Because I don't think
Are golf carts cars, or are they golf carts?
like in that city,
like-
do you have to like register them and get like plates?
Yeah, like what's
Do
the
you need
deal?
do you need a license for it?
I don't think so, right? Like, because he drove him to
I
high
don't know.
school, so
Oh yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Man,
Honestly,
I think about if I was in high school and me and all my friends had golf carts, I can't even think about all the like trouble that I would just get into, like, because
Yeah.
I mean, you can get pretty rough and tumble on a golf cart, you know, like people don't typically treat them with the same respect that they do like an automobile. It's like, you know, oh man, that's
If it's
crazy.
yours, you know, it's different. Like the same
I
way you
wanna
treat
know,
a rental car,
I want to know how many
well, at
golf
least the way that I would
cart
treat a rental
injuries
car.
there are per year.
How many golf carts? What?
Do you think they have like a?
I want to know how many golf cart related injuries there are per year.
I'm sure there's
They have
a
insurance?
statistic somewhere.
Do you think they like? Do you think they get in accidents? I mean, you're going pretty slow, dude. Like, what are you gonna do? Like,
It's crazy. It's crazy that this place exists.
imagine
and
like
then
being in
also
court with like a neck roll. Like, he rear-ended me. I'll never work again.
is your friend that's from this golf cart city, is he able to function in like normal, like in non golf cart cities? Like, I feel like if you grew up in a golf cart city, like driving in LA, for example, might be very traumatic and scary. Like, is that something that he deals with, or is he like
big cities? I mean, he did all the
golf cart-
graphics
the
on
golf-
that car behind Julian.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
D-Magic?
D-Magic.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that explains. No wonder he's a genius.
Is that-
No wonder he is
This guy right
he is a
here.
complete genius. Yeah, no, that explains everything.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I mean, you that type of city breeds genius. Let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, obviously. Oh man, I'm gonna DM him about that. I'm sure he's gonna be like,
You have
God,
to.
I gotta answer all these friggin' questions again. Ah, jeez.
More golf cart questions.
That's wild.
I don't know. I'm definitely putting this out. I don't care. It's
Why
so
wouldn't you?
entertaining. It's so interesting. It's so interesting. It gives Michael so much more depth, you know, to know that he comes from where he comes from. You know, everybody has that crazy background, and his just happens to be a family in a golf
Yeah,
cart
you
city.
need to do a Michael only podcast and just go deep into golf cart talk.
Yeah, we got it. You got to get to the bottom of this. That's the. Oh my god!
Dude, it's like I could do a 4-part series on that. And just take user questions or user listener.
Yeah, you gotta like get on.
Whatever.
You gotta get on like Twitch and just be like, or like Reddit. I grew up in a city with only golf carts. Like, ask me anything. Because the world's gotta know.
AMA.
Yeah,
The AMA of the kid that grew up in the golf cart city would top everything, I think, at this point in the world.
Yeah, like I do super intricate
At least on
graphic
Reddit.
design for drift cars. Also, I grew up in a city of only golf carts. Ask me anything. Holy crap! A person like that. That's like the type of person when somebody's like, oh, like you get to throw a dinner party and you can pick any like 5 people like that are alive. Like, who's gonna be there?
Yeah,
and you're like.
And you only have like a quick blurb about them, and you have to like decide. You're like, that guy's fucking in. Like,
yeah, no, yeah,
for
it's
sure.
like all right.
Yeah.
It's like Eddie Van Halen. I don't know, like Abraham Lincoln, Mozart, and then like the guy that grew up in the golf cart city. And then you can just tell all those people
Has to be.
that they'll be like. This
Just
is
imagine
astounding.
Abraham Lincoln having a conversation like with a guy who grew up in a golf cart city. First of all, you have to explain what a golf cart is. And then,
Yeah, it'd be great.
man, see, that's the future of podcasting. Once we like figure out AI and we can like make fake people based on like their like characteristics and shit. You just put them
we solve the paradox of time travel, and we can do it that way too. But like the future's bright.
I think we got some cool options here. Where do we go from Golf Cart City, dude? I don't even know. There's nowhere to go but down. Yeah.
Tell me about like you guys' like hopes and dreams right now. Like what's the next event? What's the progression with your drifting? Like where do you see it taking you? Like what goals do you have? Like where are you trying to, like what's the next thing? Because I know that you guys have been to like Mahon like a couple of times, which I know that's like mecca for drifting. So what's next? Like what do you do now?
It's mega for our kind of drifting. Like we were talking about, there's so many different like things to be into in it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just want to go there more really and drive tracks close to there. Like I want to try some other tracks because that's kind of the only one I've gotten to drive in that region. I want to compete over there. That's kind of the ultimate goal.
Okay, there we go. So as someone who's like an outsider and I'm like just getting into this, so I guess what does it take to go from like to like compete? Like what do you need? Like what are the gears that gotta lock into place for that to happen?
I can answer that one. It's money. At least at least like enough to show up and have a car that's somewhat like someone at Julian's level. He just needs a car that's functioning and
a car that's solid. It's just man, it's just so hard doing stuff in Japan, like not speaking it, so you have to rely on other people. Luckily, like we have.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about learning?
What were you gonna say?
Have you ever thought about learning the language?
Yeah, I mean, I've started to like a little bit, but to like really be able to talk to people, like you got to dedicate a lot of time. You got to like get a tutor,
you gotta
be there, like
you gotta live there. Yeah.
To really, really be able to communicate properly, you got to live there for sure.
It's tough too, because you're like, last time we were there, we were in the shop, I think like probably 30% of the whole trip, just trying to get this like car kind of like good to go. And just asking for like a tool is
it's hard.
You're like, fuck, how do I ask for a hole saw? like you know what I mean? Like and you're like, hole saw, like and then you realize you're like doing the sex.
Yeah, you're doing weird. You're doing weird stuff.
And
they're like, what?
And they look at you like, what? Like,
yeah, no, yeah.
Who are you trying to impregnate here? Like, not me. And you're like, so Mima-san, fucking.
So how does the events work? Do you have to like pay like an entry fee? Like you gotta have the car. So I guess in my mind it's like the way you get money is you get like sponsors, right? You get people to chip in, and it's like, oh, like if you give me suspension, I'll put your sticker on my car. And like that's kind of like you kind of like assemble like a ragtag crew of like Avengers style people around you, and that's kind of how it happens.
It's a lot easier to get parts than money. It's really hard to get financial support.
Yeah, because you basically you got to find someone that's like, I want to light like $10,000 on fire. Like, here you go, because sponsor your racing team. Or however it works.
Pretty much, drifting's really hard to get like financial support in, because it's such like a new motorsport, and especially like if you're going to Japan, it's like people need. I think the hardest thing is like people need content out of it. Like that's like the currency at this point. And and it not only content but like promotional content, and it's really annoying to make promotional content when you're trying to also be competitive in a foreign country or even in your own country. And you know, it's hard to make it's hard to make, I don't know,
no, I get it.
It's really like this like slippery slope.
It's similar to music, you know. It's like the thing that I care about is making the song, whatever. That's really all that I'm passionate about. And it's like when you make a song,
and
it's
now
like, all right,
streams
well,
are worth nothing. Yeah,
they are and they aren't. It's like you make the song, you're like, all right, how do we make money? You put it on Spotify, like, oh, like, well, you gotta like make all this content like around it. Like, oh, we gotta make videos. Like, I gotta make sure that I like blow up Instagram with like a bunch of posts. Like, I gotta make sure like whenever like the publications like talk about it, that I like shout them out and like get my followers to like look at their website or whatever. But I guess the thing that's fascinating to me about drifting is kind of what you're talking about, is there's this kind of weird, interesting cross section of, it's like you guys are both like sports athletes and then documentary filmmakers at the same time, because it's like you got to go compete at these events, but you got to hire a guy with a camera to like document it and like put it together in a cool like documentary that you can share on YouTube. So like the people who don't live in Japan and can go to Mahon or whatever, like people can like see it.
I mean,
and
it's not enough to just like place in an event anymore, especially like, I mean, maybe if you live in Japan and you're kind of part of the old mindset where, you know, and you have like a lot of connections or whatever over there, but it's like even still getting into that's pretty tough. Like, I don't know what it looks like for the drivers over there. Like, I'm actually kind of curious. I'd like to know, you know, but I think only it's kind of like here, we're only like the really, really top level people get enough to do it sustainably. Like, and it's not even like top level, it's just like people who've been doing it a long time, if that makes sense. Doing the competition stuff for a long time.
We were just talking about this earlier.
In the US it's almost impossible at this point to like, you can't get to a sustainable point without putting, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars into your own money into it, to just get to the point where you've done it long enough where you could build the contracts. And the only people who are able to do that either have, you know, strong financial background, or, you know, they have a massive following and they do merch and they do videos and they do content. Like, you know, literally the only two options at this point.
God, it's so
we just fuck around, really.
Well, I mean, same, but it's like, you're
the content you're putting out is sick.
The goof off time.
Like, I was watching a bunch of your lives, like, you know, pretty much the last time we went to Grange, we listened to Myrone the entire way there and back. Like, that was it.
Sick.
That was that was the soundtrack of the road trip. And like, you know, he put on the live stream. Like, I listened to the songs a bunch of times and I was like, all right, I'm gonna fucking kill myself now. Sorry. I liked him, but then they put on the live stream and I was like,
I have the same reaction, so don't feel embarrassed.
He put on the live stream and I was like, oh, like, this is really cool, because you know, you found a way to like kind of show that you are doing like a lot of the portions of your music, and then like you had other people like, you know, assisting in other instruments and stuff.
Goodest cast exclusive. I am the guy. I do the music. It is me.
No, it was cool because it's like you could tell like you're super into it, right?
It's me doing all of this stuff.
No, it was cool because it's like, it seemed, you know, I don't know, it just showed like you kind of like in your element more, and I was like, okay, this is sick. Like, I think that's kind of the same thing with, you know, you just see a guy on a podium or whatever at an event and you're like, okay, he must have drove really well. But then like, if you see the whole like journey to get there and like all the highs and lows and stuff, and like the events aren't putting that out, like, you know, Formula D and D1, like, you know, they do like a little bit or whatever, but they're not like showing like the trials and tribulations. Whatever words. that shit.
what y'all do
They
what y'all do is you're kind of doing the same thing that like pro wrestling does, where like it's like, yeah, they have like a wrestling match or whatever, except like they have a wrestling match, but like, you know, they have like
Formula D is very similar to wrestling.
yeah, and they like you know, you interview the drivers, and then like you just talk
got JTP
trash.
trying to fight people and shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, bro, you fucking checked me, bro.
That
Get over here, Daigo Saito. I'm gonna fuck you up.
You have Mad Mike fucking
creating that sort of narrative makes, you know, earlier we were talking about like the moment where you see it and you're like, oh.
Yeah, and Jake Paul's a boxer now. That's literally it.
Let's not go there.
I don't know. No, I can't because of the headphone.
Yeah, all right.
But I keep picking them up because I think I have like.
Oh, you actually have juggling implements?
I'm trying to learn.
Hey, it's quarantine. We all have our things.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but like the embellishment of the narrative, that helps the moment where people see it and they're like, oh yes, like I'm a fan of this. That like helps that make that more intense. But like I don't know, I'm so like excited about drifting because it's just one of those things where like, you know, I get bummed out a lot of times, like, because like music being so democratized, like, you know, it's anybody can like download like Ableton and like, you know, it's like, oh, you have a recording studio now. You have literally all the tools that you need to make the things that you hear on the radio. Like it really is.
You can make a 9 Inch Nails song.
No, you can make any kind of song. Like you can make like there's just there.
Yeah.
And because like so much of the information of like, oh, how do you compress the vocal? Like, how do you hear the snare? How do you EQ the kick? Like, I was like learning all this stuff, like the amount of information that there is now, all that, and how in depth the information is. Like if you know what you're looking for, because there's the other side of this, which is a whole another tangent, is that there's a lot of like really bad information now, which I'm sure is probably happening. I mean,
that's the same thing with drifting.
Yeah, there's probably like guys on Drift Talk
Absolutely.
being like, you should set your suspension up like this, and you watch it and you're like, no, don't do that. That's horrible. Same thing in music.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, and it's, you know, to each their own. They have a preference in. Well, some of them don't know what they're talking about, but there are different preferences in like the styles that you want to do. Essentially,
let me explain a concept, and then maybe you guys tell me if like a similar like now like. It's like people are like, oh, like what drum samples did, like, I don't know, like that guy Kenny Beats, right? He's like one of the biggest like hip hop producers, and he's awesome. He's so good. Like every time I watch him like make a beat, I'm like, you're unbelievable and like so good. Like it's sick. But at the same time, it's like you can go like probably like grab his drum kit, and like he does all these Twitch streams where you can see exactly what he does. And it's like they're kids that probably can like replicate that, or like, you know, make a Kenny Beats style beat like pretty good. But there is like the part of me where it's like, yeah, like people can like make tracks like water now. It's crazy. But like,
yeah, but
can people still like shred? And the answer is of course yes. There's still like people that are like shredding, but like, you know, playing instruments and like playing with a band or like drifting a car, that's something where if like the internet goes out and like all this wealth of information that we've all grown used to, as soon as that like goes dark, it's like, and people are like, oh, like what do I do now? It's like y'all will still be able to get in your car and turn it on and like drift it around the track and still inspire people and cause that moment.
We have that, but it's a little different, right? Like it's a seto. It's you know, we have like, you know, sim drifting, which is essentially like, you know, you play like an analog instrument that converts like an analog thing into digital, right? Like drifting a car
kind of. I mean, you're not completely
pretty analog,
but yes, yeah, it's like
it
exists in like a real realm, and it's not like a a file that I
Yeah.
downloaded and it just like
Yeah.
plays. It's like I had to like,
Yeah. I know
you know,
like an
still work
acoustic
at it.
guitar would be like super analog and then, you know,
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
but
yeah.
whatever. But like for the most part, like, you know, in drifting, we do like, you know, the engine computer is a fucking computer, right? Like there's digital
Yeah.
stuff there too. Like the injectors are firing little pulses and shit. Like but at the same time, it's, you know, like if there's a lot of kids who could watch like a drift video and go try and do it in Assetto, but not everyone can figure out what the car is, build the car, go take it, like, you know, find the time to bring it to the track. Like, you know, that is like a steep, there's like a steep learning curve. Like getting to your first couple events and like sticking with it after that is pretty much like the make or break thing. Like people will get into drifting and they'll do it a couple times and they'll either be like decent at it and be like, this is too easy, or they'll do it for like, and you know, really they're not that great. They're just able to like, you know, drift the course and they don't really see the nuance.
That's the Dunning-Kruger effect. There's the term for that. When you're just starting something, you think that you're better at it than you actually are. I think that's the term. I could be wrong, but
I can do it like 5 times and then I drop them all.
Yeah.
I held up the juggling balls. Anyway, I'm better at juggling bad puns. Anyway, yeah, I mean, yeah, I think because more people can try drifting and like do a sim rig or play like FR Legends on their phone and they kind of get the concepts of it, they have a lot more to say about it. And then also they watch it in, you know, all these like vloggers and it's like way more accessible from like all these different mediums. Like before it's like you had to like figure out how to like mess with the car in Gran Turismo and like turn all the right shit off so that you could even like try and do it, you know? And then now there's games literally like designed for it where you don't have to like change any settings. You just like, you know, it's like you hit the gas and you like turn the thing.
You can Google them. That's what I used to do there's one of the modern Gran Turismo ones where you can kind of drift. I definitely like Googled like drift setup, Gran Turismo 6, like, and then just copied some guy. I have no idea what anything does, but
sick. That's like me.
Do you guys have
doing any?
Do you guys have the thing
I mean,
where,
like, to be honest, I'll be real with you. I wanted nothing more in my life to be like Tom Morello because I'm like a huge Rage Against the Machine fan. But like,
oh hell yeah,
music to me is like this like weird anomaly where I feel like I'd be really good at it, and I like made some beats one time on my computer like for like 6 months or whatever, and I kept showing to my friends, and these are terrible. And I'm like, I think they sound good.
Yeah,
and
well, because
no, and then I like listened to them way later, and I was like, those are really bad.
So that feeling of making something and yes, this is awesome, and then you listen to it 6 months later, that never changes. I like listen to stuff that's 6 years old.
I mean, that's how
6 months old, and I'm like,
that's how we feel about drifting. Julian fucking puts out Julian only puts out videos of us drifting a year later, and every time they come out, I watch them. I'm like, I suck. Like, fuck, I'm terrible. Like, and I'm bad. And then like I'll watch videos recently. I'm like, I'm pretty bad. But those videos, I'm like, did I think I was anything close to like a drifter at that point? Like, what was I fucking doing? You know, you're like, what was I doing?
That's how I feel about drifting and anything I say in an interview or anything I post on the internet.
You just gotta
that's because you just get better every day, Julian.
Here's the way to contextualize this in your brain where you can become a functional human being. Realize that feeling of like kind of embarrassment about like where you were, you wouldn't feel that if you hadn't progressed. So every time you feel that, just realize, oh, I feel this way because I've gained more knowledge. I'm better at this now. Like, I've progressed. I know more. I have more experiences in my life from which to draw. Like my well of experiences is deeper. Like, I have more well water to give to the universe. So don't get hung up on the embarrassment. And like, sometimes it's good to like put stuff out that like you think is bad, because one man's trash is another man's treasure. Like I can't tell you how. So it's funny. Like
some of the dumbest shit
my
I've
most
posted on the
popular
internet has been the most popular.
bro, exclusive coupe, the song that everybody likes. I like made that song in like a couple hours one day, and I was like, this is okay. And I put it out, and it was just like off to the races. And every time I'm like, what? Like that's the one? Like that's the hit?
My Eskimo brother, my friend who made the intro beat for this, that's a whole other story. Anyway, we dated the same girl. He did it. He was second on the train, or he was like on the train behind me. I don't know, whatever. Not like at the same time. You know what I mean? Like
I trust you.
He's definitely not the caboose. Let's just say that. Anyway, Thomas Todd, Critical. I don't know. He changes his fucking name all the time, but it was like Critic California, and then anyway, whatever. I was like, hey man, like we clap the same cheeks. Can you send me a beat for my podcast? And he's like, yeah, no problem. And so he like sent me a bunch on WhatsApp. And I picked this one. I was like, dude, this one's the shit. Like, I want this one. And he's like, oh, fuck. I was going to say that's like my least favorite one. And like, I made it like real quick.
Yeah.
And then, you know what I mean? And I was like, hey, whatever.
That's such a thing in
but
music.
That's
like the best songs are like the shit that you made super quick.
Well, because here's why that happens. Usually the stuff that you
like American Idiot, dude. I'm sure they love fucking playing that song.
Yeah. Well, I always, when people are like, how long does it take to make a song? I'm like, well, it takes me like 5 minutes to write. Like, because the way I work, like, I can come up with like a skeleton for a song like really quickly. Like I've tried to like learn, and I mess this up all the time because I like get in my head. I'm like, oh, you start to tweak, but the best stuff that you make is that stuff that you make when you're kind of in that flow state, and you're not thinking, you're not like pushing yourself too hard. You're not like, oh, I'm gonna make a song with like, I'm gonna play super fast and the riff's gonna be really technical. Like the best stuff you make is that stuff that's just like off the dome. You're not thinking, it just comes out of you naturally.
Do you have like a specific process to how you make a song? Like, do you start with one thing or the other? Do you like get a guitar in your head and you start with that sometimes and then you add a beat to it, or does it go the other way? Like,
it changes. I literally, for like Myrone stuff, it's always different. For the longest time with Myrone, like I wouldn't even put guitar on the song until like the last moment. Like I would do like when I started doing Myrone, I was like, oh, it would be fun to do like a guitar project where like I really like, I did not like write anything on guitar. Like I would play all the keyboard stuff, and like even a lot of them, like I would do the melodies and stuff. Like I would play those on like piano first, or like I would kind of rough them in on like a keyboard. And then I would like really go through and make sure that the melodies were like really memorable before playing guitar. Now with my other project, Firstborne, because that's like with other people, like the way that works is like I'll sit down and I'll make like, either I'll do like a full song or I'll do like a verse, a pre-chorus, and a chorus, like just kind of riffs or like what I think is that on guitar. And I'll send it to the drummer and he'll like put drum ideas on it, and then I'll work with him to like structure it out or whatever. But like my like kind of philosophy is like I kind of configure my setup and my writing to where like I get like I try to do the skeleton of the song like as fast as possible. Like if I come up with like a little 8-bar loop, I'm like, okay, this is cool. All right, like I'll just like quickly come up with like a verse, chorus, like a structure. And then like once I have that, like a start and an end, I'll like go, the time consuming part is like putting all the meat on the bones, basically. It's like, all right, like I have, and the skeleton's always different. Like a lot of times for my own, it would be like a keyboard part. Like I would just like write a keyboard part and be like, okay, cool. for Firstborne, it's like just like a string of riffs. But I've done it all sorts of different ways. But like it's always like the structure happens like so fast, like within minutes. Sometimes like I've even done a couple of them where like I'll pick a tempo and then I'll hit record and I'll be like I'll just make up a song like on the spot. And like it'll be bad, I'll screw up, but I'll play, I'll be like, all right, this kind of sounds like a verse riff. And then like once I get that going, I'll be like, all right, this is the verse, pre-chorus, and then chorus. Like I'll just improvise it. And then I'll go back and like I'll clean it up, I'll fix it, I'll like relearn it properly, and like that'll be the song or whatever. Because I always want to go back to that sort of mindset and mind and headspace where it's like if you think about it, and I'm sure it's the same like when you're drifting. It's like if you're thinking too much, like, oh, I gotta do this here, and you get fixated on stuff. Versus where like if you're in the car and you're like kind of loosey goosey and you get into that zone. I mean, I don't know. I'm talking like
you're right. You're right.
No, that's absolutely.
It's like if you don't think about it,
every time I'm in my head, it's the worst driving I've ever done.
Yeah, it's the same with music.
Yeah.
And that's why. I mean, this is a long way of saying like that's why like the stuff that you make like in 3 hours and you kind of just like fart it out and you like don't think about it. That's usually like the best type of stuff. And it's like I can't tell you how many times I've been in the studio like making stuff, and like while I'm making it, I'm like, this is like the greatest MP3 file that anybody has like ever heard. This is so genius. Like I cannot wait to send this to people. And like I'll email like the most important people I know, like, check this out, I just made this. This is so good. And they like won't respond. I'm like, like why doesn't anybody understand me? Like what is going on? And then I'll listen to it 6 months later and I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I sent that to that person. Like I'm gonna run into them in the future and like I'm gonna answer a song will be like in their inbox and they'll just be like, oh, there's that guy who sent me that really weird song.
Oh fuck.
I'm trying to think how to compare that to anything in drifting. I think maybe like the car build aspect, like a little bit, where you'll like be like, you know, it'd be really cool, and then you like do some shit on your car, and you like put it out, and people are like, what the fuck is that? And you're like, yeah, maybe not, I don't know. But that's how you get you gotta do that. It's kind of I don't know. It's like anecdotal, I guess. I don't know. But it is like kind of the same thing where you'll build like the vision of kind of what it's gonna look like when it's done. Like Julian kind of used to rebuild his car like every couple months. He would do like new graphics, new kit, like new paint, new fucking everything. And it was kind of like it turned into this whole thing where like, what the fuck is he gonna do next? Because it would just be like, it would be sick every time, you know. And it's like you kind of like, and then he got to a point where he's like, I just need to like stop rebuilding my car every like 5 events and just like drift way more. And then there was like,
did I lose you guys?
There was like a point. We can hear you.
Yeah, still good.
You guys there?
I think he froze.
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, we're here. He'll come back. Anyway, I don't know. Pretty much what I was saying is like you hit this like thing where you transition to like from like redoing your car a bunch to like just like driving it as much as possible and then just redoing it when you like absolutely have to.
Yeah, I was driving it a lot then too though.
Yeah. But more, it's definitely more now, I would say. Maybe not
that much lately, but yeah.
Yeah.
You lose it?
You're back.
Oh yeah. Whoa, that was crazy. So I lost you right at Julian's rebuilding his car all the time, but then he got to a point where he's like, I need to be the same all the time.
That's pretty much where that's where we're at.
Yeah.
No, it's just a matter of needing to drive as much as possible.
Oh yeah. Well, it's interesting. So that's interesting that you used to rebuild your car every time. Was like
just changing the look really often. I wasn't like always fully rebuilding it. I was just freshening it up a lot because I was trying to like keep it looking really good. But when you like are trying to push your driving as hard as possible, like it's financially and just it's so much work
Yeah,
so much
no.
work.
Yeah.
So like people always ask me like, oh, like what kind of guitar do you like to play? And I'm like, well, like, the guitar that I play the most is this one, but like I have a lot of guitars, but they're literally like they could not be like more different. Like every one of them, like the neck is shaped different. And for me, it's like when I'm writing, like just the feeling of like a different instrument will inspire like different types of like riffs or whatever. Cause like they'll have different pickups, they'll sound.
I wish we could have I wish we could have as many drift cars as you have guitars. Let's just
Well,
say that.
I'll probably have to.
That'd be
I'll
sweet.
probably sell you guys my guitars when I start wasting all my money.
Like watching
Just take it, man. Let me get a couple more laps.
watching that like Gear Gods episode and seeing, like a bunch of your different guitars. It's crazy how many different sounds you can make come out of one guitar, like using your
it's like that's
fucking
that's
foot
like
pedal thing.
Yeah, like that's like, oh, I mean the possibilities are endless. It's funny because like back in the day, like there aren't that many options, and now I kind of like run into this like option anxiety. But I do have like my base level, like I tend to like a certain type of amp, and I tend to kind of enjoy like a certain type of guitar. But like I just sometimes you got to have like a little fresh like flavor to kind of keep things like interesting and kind of keep that like X factor where there's like a little bit of like unpredictability that you have to like wrestle with, and where that friction exists, that's where the sparks fly, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe that's like us when we're like forced to run a different tire.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to think of like a good example for that, or like when you just have like an issue with the car,
I mean,
drive
like
around it kind of thing.
Like every day, like before the pandemic when I was doing the musical, it's like every day there would be like a crazy like.
You were in Hamilton?
No, well, the costume designer that for our show also did Hamilton, so no, I wasn't in Hamilton. No. But like so like doing a Broadway musical, especially the one we did, it was like being in a band, but there was also this added layer of like, yeah, you're in a band and you're like playing with the band, but also there's like 20 other people who are singing and like running around and like dancing and like all of their microphones are all like going through this one thing, and like it's like the complexity of it is like mind-boggling. And it's like there'd be like little things where like so during a show, like when you see like an actor like have a costume or a prop, like there's a specific area backstage where like, oh, this prop needs to be like behind this location backstage at this time, like for the scene. And there's not only is the stuff that you see on stage choreographed, all of the backstage movements and like people who like move props around and like costume changes, all that stuff is like choreographed too.
Yeah, they need to like hide mics and like crazy. I watched like a whole thing on like the mic like hiding, where they like hide mics and like musicals and like people who do presentations and stuff, and it's like they'll like have like a little tiny hidden like mesh thing in the shirt, and they'll like hide a microphone in there and like all kinds of wild shit like that, or they'll like hang it down from someone's like hat like, and you can't
and it's
see.
like literally every day, like at work there would be like one like little like weird fold in the situation. Like I remember the first week that we were open, I had like I was having a problem with like noise from like my instrument, because like the building that we were in was super old and there was like a grounding problem. So like there's just like a lot of buzzes that were happening. And it was like, I was like on stage playing, but then like in between songs, I was like fiddling with like my foot pedals, being like, why is there noise? Like, and like eventually like you have to do some like crazy thing with the guitar where you gotta like roll the volume knob off in like a weird way. Like, okay, I gotta like wrestle with this problem and also do the show. So I imagine there's stuff like that in drifting where like, oh, like tires don't
absolutely
like, oh, like this part broke and now I have to like go compete, but like I can't rely on this thing that I'm accustomed to.
That's pretty much Julian every event. There's always some like whatever, I'll drive around it kind of thing. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
But like learning to live in that like, for lack of a better term, like
It
that
makes
the danger zone
it makes
where
you
like,
better.
Yeah, it
yeah,
makes you better because when everything
100%.
works, you're like unstoppable.
it's the drivers that can and players that like work well in that type of situation. It's like it's why when Naoki like flips his car out, like just the simple act of him doing that and the way that he does it, it tells like 1,000 stories of like, you know, all the stuff that he's been through and
Yeah,
like all the crazy like
Yeah, like you
situations in
can
which he's driven before.
the
he-
fact that he can do that under pressure in a competitive environment. It's kind of like, I guess I don't know how to explain this. Maybe like I don't know when you're say like the difference between like a studio musician, which would be like me maybe because like I don't do well like in the competition environment yet. I'm like trying to get there or whatever.
This might be a bad metaphor because like
Studio
people who are
musicians are like
studio musicians,
badass. Yeah,
yeah, they're like insane. Like they'll
savants.
light you up. You know,
Oh, okay,
like
shit. All right.
they're like studio for like for people who like who do music. Like if you're like, it's one thing to be good enough to to play live. It's like an entire other thing to like to play good in the studio, because in the
All right.
studio it's like every little squeak, everything is just like under a microscope, and the things that you used to be able to get away with
And you
on
can't
stage,
waste a
it's
lot of
like,
time.
yeah, well, I mean, I work by my studio's at home, so I can waste all the time I want. But when you're in that
Yeah.
situation where you're like, you know, you're at the session and they're like, oh, do you like, can you like I used to do writing sessions a lot, which meant that like I would, you know, sometimes I try to do it at my place, but a lot of times I would work like at a studio, and it's like I would show up with my laptop, and there would be like someone who like who like writes vocal melodies and sings them, and a lot of times it was just like, oh, like I'm gonna make a beat like in front of you and like play all this stuff, and like we're gonna make a song from scratch. And it's kind of one of those things where, you know, you might, I like my laptop has like different plugins than my home computer, or like, you know, like I might the studio might not have like the kind of guitar that I like, if I like forgot to bring a guitar or whatever.
I guess the difference is like a studio musician, you're playing in front of other musicians and people who listen to real like insane musicians
Yeah,
all the time, versus like in a live event, it's like 99% people who won't know if you like completely miss like a whole
yeah,
section
because
of
you're
a song.
playing so loud, it doesn't matter anyways. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So my comparison is trash. Myrone says, fuck you, your comparison sucks.
Yeah, yeah. I disavow this podcast.
I gotta piss.
Okay.
BRB.
Goodest cast
See, it's nice.
exclusive.
It's nice when there's 3 people, because then when someone goes to pee, then there's like actually still shit that happans. Usually I'm just
Yeah.
like, and there's this in the background. You don't have to like tell, like you're gone, dude. You can't hear us anymore. All right, whatever. Yeah, okay, hold on. While he's gone, I'm gonna make you judge my brother.
All right, hell yeah.
It's an Instagram story, so it's private. I'm pretty sure he didn't want me to do anything with this, but he's not gonna listen to this
It's okay.
anyway. He's cooler than me. Decent.
It sounds
He's
good.
okay.
His tone's
I
good.
don't
His
know.
tone's good. He's
Yeah.
in his tone is good, and he's in tune, which is you're on the upper level of the bell curve, is like as
I
far
think
as
it's a
guitar players
hilarious
go.
song to be playing, but you know, I'm happy that he's, you know, enjoying himself. You know.
Yeah, that's hey, that's the whole point of all of this, is to
Yeah.
get through this existence and enjoy yourself, and hopefully like make a living doing it. You know.
That's the hard part, you know.
Yeah.
He's like a graphic designer. I think he's just having fun, which is cool. Like I'm happy that he gets to do cool shit like that, you know. Fucking anyway, I don't know. I think there's like a whole whatever makes you happy, I guess, as long as it's not like
Yeah.
hurting other people.
Yeah. No, I mean,
physically
that's
and probably mentally.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, I feel like I don't have any great like insight or like, I don't know shit about music or how to get like
You
started.
don't.
Like you were, yeah. So
Well, what do you?
you
Okay,
were
all
like
right.
8
What do
years
you want to
old when
do?
you
You
started?
want to make?
Yeah.
You want to make music? Is that what you want? What do you want? What like? What's your desired outcome with your interaction with music? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to make beats? Do you want an instrument? Like, there's multiple different
I
like
feel like I
folds.
don't.
You know?
I feel like I've found things that I enjoy doing, and I don't have the time to start it yet, but I would like to at some point. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. So it
Yeah.
sounds like you need to schedule music making time.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
find
Potentially.
like a free hour or two. Just be like, you know what? This day, after I've taken care of all my responsibilities, like I'm gonna carve out time and I'm gonna like
I'm gonna
I'm gonna open
master
up
the fucking
Ableton.
kazoo.
Yeah. Why not?
What'd you say? Kazoo?
Yeah,
Dude,
Yeah.
fuck yeah.
great instrument.
Collab, dude. What animal style will play kazoos while you
Kazoo
shred?
solo. Let's go. Yeah.
Dude, tell us about
Julian, didn't you like play some silly instrument?
Dude, I played the saxophone.
Oh, which one?
Sick.
Alto
An
or
alto. I played an alto
okay.
sax.
They didn't give you the Barry. You're tall.
Yeah, no, I wasn't tall back then.
Oh.
Elementary school.
Oh, okay.
But
Did you have like a freakish growth spurt? That's what kind of happened to me.
Yep. Yeah, like all my friends got taller than me. Like I was tall, and then all like right before high school, all my friends got taller than me. And then like sophomore year in high school, I grew, like the end of sophomore year, I grew a foot.
That's amazing.
I went
Yes.
from
I was
like
always
5'5" to 6'5" over a summer.
So when I watch the animal style like YouTube videos, I empathize with your I don't know, your character. I empathize with you a lot because like a running gag throughout the animal style universe is that you have back problems, and there are lots of shots of you like doing back stretches. And I just want to say I feel very seen by that. I relate to that a great deal because I had a similar situation where I was like regular height, and then like one summer or whatever something happened, and I became like kind of a tall freakazoid and now like there are consequences to that later in life when your body just goes whoop, like your spinal column is like, no, I'm not ready for this.
Yeah. I've always been tall. I don't relate, and my back's been pretty cool for now, but we'll see. I got a small back. My back's not even really like I got like a normal person back. I just got long ass legs.
You got big legs. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, man.
Yeah, I'll teach you some stretches when we go drifting.
Oh, dude, I know them all.
The old trip stretch.
Yeah, of course.
Julian stretches backs, and he used to stretch tires. Oh shit,
dude! Tell us about Firstborne, man. How did that?
Oh man,
it's sick.
Oh, thank you. It's kind of a crazy story. So that whole project came out of so one of the websites that I sell my music on is this website called Bandcamp. And one of the unique features of Bandcamp is it's not like a streaming website where people you can stream the songs on it, but one of the things I like about Bandcamp is it allows people to like just download the file, which is like which is in a weird way like becoming old school. Like, whoa, you download the files? Like, how antiquated. But every time that
What are these
happens, when
floppy
somebody,
disks?
yeah, whenever that happens, you get an email that says, congratulations, like so-and-so at gmail.com bought your album.
This shit.
So
Yeah.
one day, I got that email notification, and it was like Chris Adler at blah blah blah.com. Like that's not the actual email because I don't want to, knock on my guy. But I was like, oh, like Chris Adler, like, and like this looks like an email that, like, if I was Chris Adler, that I would use. So I texted my friend who he's like he's one of the guys that runs this metal blog called Metal Sucks. I was like, hey, is this Chris Adler's email? And he was like, let me check. And he like got back to me like 5 minutes later. He's like, yeah, it's definitely him. I was like, whoa, super weird.
And he's like legendary drummer.
Yeah, he used to be in Lamb of God. He did an album with Megadeth, and he won a Grammy for the album that he did with Megadeth. Like super crazy. So I don't usually do this, but like I just sent him an email. I was like, hey, like thanks for like buying my album. Like I'm a fan. Like you're like a great drummer. Like thanks. Like it means a lot that you like spent money like on files. And he like emailed me like right away. But the little like the weird twist about it was at the time so this was the end of 2019. Like no, this is fall 2019 because it was right after I put out that album Guitar Magic. Put that out and like he bought it. I was like, whoa, that's so cool.
Which is fire, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Fucking love that album.
Yeah, go buy that now. Go buy it.
Yeah. Yes.
Buy all
listeners of this podcast, please buy my music. It would be great if you did. So he emailed back, but at the time he was doing this tour where he's part of this project that's called Hail, which is it's this guy that like he puts together like a super group of like metal musicians. So like at the time it was Chris, James Lomenzo, who's this, extraordinary bass player who plays with White Lion, Megadeth, played with Black Label Society, like all this stuff. This guy, Phil Demo, was playing guitar. Anyways, super group. But the whole concept of it is that they go and they tour places where like they'll be like the first American rock band to like ever play. So the last tour they did, they went to like Bahrain, like they went to Egypt, they went all these places all over the Middle East. Whoa. So when he emailed me back, it was like, oh, Chris at blah blah blah.com emails back. He was like, yeah, man, like I love this album. We just got done like riding camels throughout the desert and like riding dune buggies, and we were like listening to it the whole time. And so I got that email back and I was like, isn't this guy from Virginia? Like what? So I Googled like Chris Adler like tour, and I saw like the Hail tour dates, and it was like Bahrain, Egypt, and like kind of like lined up with like what he was saying. But I was like, I'm like extremely like paranoid and crazy. So I was like, maybe I'm being catfished. So I kept corresponding with him for like a long time. And eventually I was like, yeah, like, do you want to like work on some music, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, I'm definitely being pranked. Like, what is going on? But, I was also like, well, if it's actually him, like, I should probably like send him some riffs or whatever. So, we start to make stuff. And then like, eventually, like he gets back to the US and I talked to him on the phone and I'm like, well, I was like, can we like FaceTime? He was like, no. And I was like, uh-oh, like, this isn't good. But like eventually we talked on the phone and it was like, oh, like, okay, it's actually you. It was, okay, this is like really crazy. And so it was like, all right, cool. Like we're working on, tracks. He pulls in James Lomenzo because when he did that Hail tour, James, I guess, was like, oh, like keep me in mind for playing bass. Like, I'm around. Like James plays with the other person he plays for is like super random is like John Fogerty. Like James, name a band like James has played with them. So like he was like, oh, like okay, like my friend like James wants to play bass. I was like, oh, sick. Like we used to listen to White Lion like literally every day at intermission at work. So like amazing. And then Chris was like, all right, cool. Like we're working on stuff. And he's like, all right, like I might be a little slow on email. Like I have to go do this drum clinic tour in India. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, like, whatever. And I was like, oh man, I'm probably not gonna hear from him for a while. But like the entire time he's there, he's like still emailing me. And then one day he just emails me. He's like, bro, like I struck gold. Like I found the singer. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, check this out. And he sent me a video of this guy, Girish, who's now our singer. He's doing like a Judas Priest cover, and it's like note for note, like super insane, like crazy high vocals. And like, it's like the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I was like, how did you find this guy? And it turns out, what the promoter of this clinic tour in India, what he did, it's like actually so smart. It's because like usually a clinic tour is like, if you're a musician, it's like you go to a music store and you like, for like a drummer, it's like you play drums over like tracks, and there are like people sitting in chairs like this, and it's like you play, and then you like take questions, and people are like, what size cymbal did you use on this one? You know, and it's just like super Punisher vibes, you know. So this promoter in India
sounds like Instagram DMs as a drifter.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's like the same thing. Like after you guys do an event, people like come to the pit and they're like, "Oh, like what kind of suspension are you running? Like I noticed you were a little slow today. Was this like acting up like it usually does?"
Dude.
Like, shut up! Like, come on, man! Like,
get out of my head, Myrone. Get out of my fucking head.
Yeah.
Get out of me, dude.
Listen, I empathize when relate, and that's why I'm a fan. So what this promoter did was he got a bunch of like local Indian musicians to like just form a band for Chris to play with, and so they like played a set, like they did a show. Like Chris was showing me like footages from the show, and it's like crazy. But Girish has this band in India called Girish and the Chronicles, and they're like they're so good. Like I'm a stan. Like I love them. They're amazing. They have this one song called like it's like rock and roll's here to stay, and it's like this like crazy, like it's like yeah, and like the video they're like playing in front of this like crazy like ancient like temple. It's so sick. But Chris was like, yeah, like he was like, yeah, this guy Girish that I just played with, like I think like let's try him out on these tracks. So I started sending him the tracks that me and Chris made, and he would like send us back his vocals, and it was like incredible. It was like we were like, this is rocks. Like this is so cool. Like we're just happy. We're like, because so many times like you make stuff and stuff doesn't work out, or like you have this idea like, oh, like what if we get this person to do this, and like they send stuff back and it sucks. It's like everybody in the band like sent stuff back, and it's like it's been so easy to make, and it's just kind of like it just works. So we were at the beginning of 2020 we're like making tracks, like kind of getting stuff together, and then pandemic hits, and we're like, oh well, we're making all this stuff separately like anyways, like let's just keep it going. So that's what we've done all of last year, is we've just continued to just like make stuff. Like every week we're like working on a new song. Like we're just emailing each other. We have like a WhatsApp thread where we just talk about stuff. But the crazy thing now is like
super international, right?
Yeah,
like your singers from India, and then you're in LA, and
Chris is where?
Where's everybody else? Like
Chris is in Virginia. James lives in LA, but he lives like in Santa Clarita, and I still haven't met him yet in real life. That's the crazy thing for me.
That's
is
not
that
LA.
like Chris and Garish have met. Chris and James have met. I've met nobody. I've talked to them on Zoom. Like
That's
I text with
insane.
them. I get
Yeah.
their files that they send me, but like we've never like there's going to be this weird moment now because like if like the pandemic didn't happen, like we would have been playing shows like last year, or like we would have at least like figured out how to get in
Insane.
the same room and like done something. But
Yeah.
there's definitely going to be this like weird moment where like we've made let's like how many songs have we released? I'm looking it up right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 9. There are 9 songs that are out, and there are a bunch more that are like either done or we're working on them, or there's just tons of stuff that we've made, and like we're gonna just have this weird moment where it's like we're gonna go into a room at some point, and it's like I hope the magic is still there. Like I hope
Yeah, that's
I hope the
insane.
magic wasn't in the fact that we like didn't have to hang out with each other. But
You guys are gonna go in the same room and be like,
cool.
I'm gonna head out and record this at my
Oh, geez,
house.
this guy sucks. You know, like, oh, this Myrone guy, I hate him. He sucks to hang out with.
Nah, no
But
way.
no, but everybody's really cool, and like I like for the longest time in the project, like I always joke. I always tell everybody like every great band has one shitty guy, you know, like one guy, like there'll be like 3 shredders and then like one guy who's like kind of like just struggling to be there,
I'm
and
doing
he
it,
kind of
man.
like
They just like feed him a
he'll,
bunch
like,
of
lay the
cocaine and like
foundation.
hope he doesn't fuck up.
Yeah. And like that's in this situation, like it has to be me because everybody else is just like so good. They're like like when I send riffs to Chris, like when I record, it's a very interesting experience, like not recording to like drums that have been recorded, because like, you know, same thing we were talking about this earlier with like drifting, like when you're recording guitar, you want to play to like how the drums are like hitting the speakers. So like just like doing riffs and being like, okay, like I think Chris would play something like this. I'll send him stuff, and then he'll send me stuff back that's like completely different than what I expected. And I'll be like, whoa, like how did he like hear this? And sometimes I'll be like, I don't know if that's gonna work. And then like every time I do that and I live with it for like a day, I'm like, this is the most genius, like it ends up being so good.
Dude, that's so sick.
Yeah.
I didn't realize
It's
like
fun.
you guys were doing shit only remotely until you posted that day. And it's just like, man, that's so crazy.
Well, I mean, that's great, because that means all the work that me and then now this guy Machine is helping us out mixing stuff. That just means that like the work that
is
we're
that his given name? Sorry.
his name is Gene, but he's Gene the Machine.
That's a sick fucking nickname.
Oh, dude, this Machine is next level. Like this, I get stuff sounding like pretty okay, and then I'll send it to him to mix, and it's like he sends it back. And I'm like, how did you do this? Like, it's crazy. He's like a genius. But yeah, it just means like there's like all this stuff that we do in the mix to it's like in a way it's like harder because I'm taking all these performances that were performed by people in like different times, different places, and I'm mixing it together, and I'm trying to make it sound like cohesive. And you know, it's like when you hear a song, you want to close your eyes and be like it's like when you listen to like Metallica, it's like you close your eyes and you like see the dudes in Metallica like slamming the song out. And like that for this project right now, like that doesn't exist. It's like some guys doing his stuff over here and some guys doing his stuff over here.
Yeah, that's what's so
like,
crazy.
Somehow it's coming to
picture you guys all together when you listen to it.
Literally, yeah. Your whole thing is done via the internet. They found you during the internet. You communicated via the internet. All your music's being like transmitted over the internet and like created in like a remote location. Like that's the future is now.
Yeah, I mean, but like it's like we have to do it that way. Like there's just it's just not like there's no other way. So, but like it's stuff like that where it's like you can either like embrace the cards that you're dealt, or you can just be like, oh, you know, there are a lot of bands right now are like, oh, well, like, well, I don't think a lot of bands. I think a lot of people are like kind of figuring out the same thing. But there's that, like, I definitely get the mentality from like some people are like, oh, like we're just taking a year off, and I'm like, really? You're not like, at least like,
I mean, that's
you know,
what
make a goofy
podcast
guitar
came from
album. That's
COVID.
like what I do. Yeah.
Yeah, this podcast came from COVID. I was like bored at my house and kind of lonely, and I just want to talk to my friends. And I thought other people might want to have some, like, feel like they could sit in on a conversation with like drift people.
Yeah,
because you couldn't do that. You couldn't go to the track. Like none of that shit was happening. So, and other reasons, but
So, but it's funny. Like I feel like with car stuff, like when you guys do track days, I feel like it's pretty like socially distant, like already, if that makes sense. Like maybe not people like in the stands, but like, you know, when people are like in the cars, like,
well, there aren't really events with people in stands these days. It's like no spectators allowed.
Okay, that makes sense.
No, there are spectators. People come with the drivers, but yeah, it's outside.
Yeah, it's like
people
plus
aren't
ones.
super grouped together, and
yeah,
in the car,
yeah, it's pretty solo. Yeah, like it's hard to talk to other, like when you're in the cars and you like finish the run. Jason wears earplugs and his car's super loud, so you're like, that was sick, and he's like, what about my dick? And you're like, you're just like, okay, I'll go, and like, just, you know what I mean? Like, so there's like a bit of that, but you know, afterwards, or you know, kind of like during the breaks, or when someone's car's broken, or you know, it was like pretty much the only like escape that a lot of us had during during the lockdown and stuff. Like that was it. Like that's what I live for. That like as soon as events opened up, like all the like the site, like Good Luck League site went down the first time they posted an event for like hours.
That's crazy. Yeah,
because they were just getting like DDoSed by fucking drifters trying to sign up.
I mean music people, let me tell you, people with music, like people are like ready to rock. Like people are like, as soon as concerts going back, like I'm going to like a festival and like living my best life or whatever.
The same person. She worked for a Live Nation subsidiary, and the company like went out of business. Like live event stuff, you know.
Yeah,
but yeah, she's like, as soon as, I don't know. I'm really interested to see how it goes.
It might be a bumpy road, but we're going to reach the end of it. Like pandemics have happened before, and like they've gone away, and we like haven't thought about them. Like it's going to come back. It just like this is one of those like once in 100-year things where it's like, wow, this is unprecedented and extremely shitty and bad, but like we're gonna make it. We're gonna do it. We're going to rock and drift again. And my hope is that maybe we can rock and drift simultaneously.
That'd be tight.
But it's going to...
Julian was like, I want to figure out a way to do that. That'd be sick. And I was like, I don't know how you're going to do that. It sounds crazy. And then now that I hear how on board you are, I'm like, Julian's had a lot of ideas where I'm like, that's fucking stupid. And then he does them. I'm like, that was sick.
Well, that's any idea, right?
Yeah.
There is a video of me playing in a car, but the car was not
drifting,
violently thrashing from side to side.
We could probably figure out a way to like fabricate an amp like into the car and shit. That'd be kind of
well. The way I
figure out a way to power it too.
Well, the way I did it last time was I record, so iPhones have GarageBand, right? So I had an audio interface that connected my guitar to my phone, and I recorded my performance in GarageBand on the phone, and then I exported it out on my phone and like mixed it later. But like you wouldn't need an amp. I just need headphones basically. But I don't know, the car might be like too loud. But I mean, I don't know. There's stuff that we can do. Like, I feel, one of the reasons why I'm so excited about drifting right now is I really think there's like a cool opportunity where, like, you know, maybe there's like a drift event with like a concert at the end of it, or like, just because it's like because your niche is like so outsider, because like what you do requires, like, it's not just like drifters, it's like you also have like creative people who are doing graphic design, creative people who are doing like documentary filmmaking. That's like a really unique intersection of different kinds of people. And I think there's a way to like maybe like open the umbrella up a little bit wider, because there's definitely a lot of musicians I know that, like, when I show them this stuff, they're like, this is cool. But they just like don't know about it because there's not like a mainstream like structure that like supports it. Like there is for like pro football, like pro football teams, there's like a stadium like in the city and it's on TV all the time. Like, you guys are doing all this stuff like DIY, where it's like, not only are you putting on the events and like you're going and you're like paying for the cars and you're doing the thing, you're also like making the content around the thing and like sharing the story and like helping it grow. And like whenever there's like an ecosystem like that, like I always get excited because I'm like, all right, like this is awesome. Like what can we like respectfully like add to it to like maybe like get more people into it and like have it, because I like you don't want like tons of like normies to get into it and ruin it, but like I feel like you guys have like a hunger for like, to make what you guys do like easier. Like, it'd be cool if like the structures that surround it were like,
I don't know, like
a little bit more like legitimate, I guess.
Have I mentioned Have I mentioned that to you yet, or have I just told everyone else that like I want you to perform at a Super D event, or have we not?
No,
even talked about it?
I want to do it. I want to get like.
I knew you were down.
Did you guys both have this? Did you have this idea separately, both of you?
I've just had a vision of like cars going around me while I play guitar for like forever, but no, I think it'd be super cool to
definitely set that up.
do a drift event, and then like, I don't know, like Firstborne plays or something, and it's like the sickest thing like anybody's ever seen, and then people are like, oh, whoa, like this is crazy, like these people are doing this places, and then it like becomes like a thing.
Well, yeah, people are doing music and drifting together, but your music goes with drifting so well. Like, I just think I've been telling
need to be
people this
simultaneous,
for months now, actually, like that I want you to perform at a Super D event. So it's funny. Like,
well,
I couldn't remember if you have talked about it or not. But like, let's do it.
I mean, I'm in and I'm down. Like, we'll figure it out. But like, yeah, we gotta just keep making stuff. Just keep doing the thing and keep making stuff and keep associating the two things, and like it'll just naturally grow from that.
I didn't like fully understand the vision of like Super D when Julian's like, yeah, I want to start like drift events and do comps and stuff. And I was like, are you going to enter the comps? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, the fuck, you're going to enter your own comps? Who's going to want to do that? And then,
well, it's just like throwing a show.
People did. But more importantly, what I didn't realize was it was like more of an education, right? Like when you run the event, you can kind of like, you can focus the attention of like what you're like trying to educate. Like I didn't realize like Julian was really trying to like use it as like an educational tool for like, this is what I think drifting should look like, essentially. And
I think you're giving me too much credit, because it was more like it was way more selfish than that. It was like there aren't events that are like catering to the exact type of driving that we want with the exact type of courses that we want. So let's do some events.
Yeah.
And I absolutely have to drive in them because we're making them because we want these events to drive in.
That's what you like to do.
That's just a byproduct of it, I think. Like,
Yeah, but that's natural though. That's like if you're a DJ
That's
and
what I
you
found
like
cool
a
about it.
certain type of if you're a DJ and you like a certain type of music and it's like the first thing you do is like you go through all the venues and clubs where you live and you're like let's let's have a callback here. Let's say you're like a great Italo disco DJ. The first thing you do is you search like who does like an Italo disco night in LA? Like there's got to be some club. And if there isn't, you're like, oh, this I have to like make a night. And then it's like then you suddenly take on the job of like, okay, I got to find a club. I got to like promote the show. I got to like get all my friends to come. I probably got to book a couple other DJs that do kind of similar cool stuff. And then once you have your club night that you run, it's just like you just build the platform bigger and bigger and you start doing like other cool stuff. You bring in other stuff. So I feel like you guys are already doing that. It's just a matter of like, kind of continuing it and thinking about like, all right, like where can we like build this where it's like a little bit less more like, I don't know, like you guys probably know what you're doing. I just like, I'm excited. Like,
not
I
really.
see what you guys are doing.
Nope. But
I don't know what the fuck
kind
we're
of.
doing, but it's fun.
But I mean, you guys don't know what you're doing because like you're the only people that do it, which is, I mean, that's amazing. Like that's such a good position. Well, it's like,
Yeah, there's people, but
like
it's
I remember,
different.
like when I post on Instagram that like I did like a new intro song for Teen Amplified, like people DM me and I was like, yo, like you know those guys? They're like legends. Like nobody does like what they do. And I'm like, whoa, yeah, like whenever somebody says that about something, it's like I always know like when I talk to people who get talked about like that, they're always like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I just kind of like this specific thing and like I'm just trying to like share it. And so like y'all are already doing that. And it's just like if you just keep it going, like and just every time you just try to progress it a little bit further and keep doing stuff. Like I'm totally excited for you guys. Like, I feel like it's gonna work.
Dude,
like y'all are gonna figure out like a thing.
It goes both ways, man. Like the shit that you're doing, I'm excited for you. But dude, the full song, like people haven't heard it yet. You've made a full version of the intro song. It's fucking insane, dude. It's so crazy.
I'm so glad you guys are pumped on it.
Dude, it's so sick.
I've been working on Firstborne stuff for so long that like when I was like, oh, like, it's like one of those things where I was like, oh, like Julian asked me to do like a song for this year. I forget how it came into existence, but I was like, oh shit, like I haven't done this. Like I haven't made a Myrone track in a long time. So I was like a little scared. I was like, ooh, like this could turn out really bad. The magic might not be there. So I was like so relieved when you guys heard it and you were like, oh, this rocks. Like we're so excited. I was like, yes, like still got it, baby. Like I can like I still got it.
I like the intro. I like the intro part that he used, and I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. That's like that sounds like some of the other tracks, and it's like it's good. Like it's perfect for like what we're doing. And then when I heard the whole thing, and I was like, how much time did he spend on this? Like it just got like more intricate and like broke down. Like I was like, oh, this is sick. And I was like, oh, it's even more. What the fuck? Like the song changed. Like so, I don't know. I thought it was cool. Anyway, I enjoyed that one the most so far out of all the shit that I've heard. I don't know.
Oh, good. That's good. I personally love it when people like the most recent thing best. That just means like the range of like
progressing
the good era of my music is longer. Yeah.
It turned out sick. I'm honored to play some SR20 music in your song too.
Oh yeah. You definitely featured SR20 feature. Very rare instrument. Only one in existence.
Yeah, I don't play saxophone anymore, so I play the SR20 trumpet.
He plays the turbo.
Jazz
he plays
manifold
the trumpet.
Yeah, it's sick. It worked out really well.
Actually, it wasn't jazz manifold then. It was whatever.
I'm very excited to see what Mr. Golf Cart City comes up with for album art.
Yeah, dude, yeah.
Oh my god, I cannot stop thinking about that. It's so good.
We need to just go there. I just want to go there so bad. I want to go there. I just want to see it in
That
all its
sounds like a
glory,
great-
you know? And maybe it's like not all that exciting, you know? Maybe like all the drive-through at like McDonald's are like smaller, you know? Like that's like the little shit that I'd want to see that would just like make my day.
Yeah, the freaky stuff where it's like it's like, oh, they just have like little roads.
You guys still have a fucking Blockbuster here? It's golf cart accessible? I don't know.
God, that would be so good.
Little roads.
So you guys have an event pretty soon, right? Like you're going to Thunder Hill or something?
I think we're just gonna do like a private event when all of our cars are
Oh, okay.
going.
Yeah,
Do you guys just like rent out the track? Is that how it works?
We rent like the little skid pad. It's just like a big open lot.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
Set up like a little
We
course.
make our own course.
Yeah. Bring our golf carts and
Do you guys
Right.
have to like clean up the track like after you use it? Like how does that work? 'Cause
It's like-
I've seen your cars. I know stuff is flying off of them all the time. So
Yeah, it's
How
not,
does that
so
work?
we need to
it's
pick
not a lot of stuff. It's like cones and a piece of fiberglass here and there. It's not too crazy.
maybe a headlight or tail
You get
light.
a little bit of glass.
Yeah.
It's not too
But-
bad.
Yeah. Usually, yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, there's definitely some. You get, yeah. I feel like we're getting better at not like destroying each other's cars every event. But still like driving close. I don't know.
I don't know. I haven't been driving that close. I need to
Yeah.
drive more.
Julian's his own biggest critic, so aren't we all?
Yeah, well,
aren't we
I mean-
fucking all?
yeah, it's just
Important.
That's
Yeah.
It won't be good.
that's the curse of greatness. You know, you have to punish yourself continually to shape your soul into the like how they make a samurai sword, right? They they bend metal like thousands of times over itself. It's an incredibly tedious and like mind-numbing process, but it's like that's like what you have to do is you just constantly fold yourself and mold yourself into your like a mighty blade capable of slicing the most fierce warrior, like
Yeah, and then even after you slice that fierce warrior, you think you suck and you need to be folded over again.
there's 10 more warriors that are ready to kick your ass. So
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude. Hold me more.
Swords.
yeah,
Do they make axes the
the
same way?
the Goodest cast. What do they make?
That was like a double entendre.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh,
I don't know.
The
I don't
thing
know.
that's-
Probably.
the thing that's so I have a buddy that's he's building me a guitar right now, and he'll post like little like he like builds lots of guitars. But one of the most like kind of intricate things that like he does is so like for example on this guitar you see this little like white outline here.
Yeah.
It's called binding. And like this guitar has binding that's like pretty regular.
Not to be confused with making your feet smaller.
Yeah. But like the way my buddy does it is like he'll do like like 5 like layers of it, like alternating like white and black. So like when you see it, it's like this kind of nice like texture.
Mhm.
And when he describes it, it's like a painstaking process because you have to like every like little corner of the guitar, you have to like cut like these layers like exactly correct, and apparently it like lasts forever. He always like does a post. He's like, I'm wrangling the goddamn binding again, and he's like, he does it over and over and over again until it's right.
That's kind of sick. I feel like that's one other thing that at least like guitars and drifting have in common is there's like a lot of like customization of the instruments, at least, like, because you know, like how much can you really customize a saxophone, but like you can, you know, I feel like there's similarities there as far as like, I don't know, in music, I guess like the driving and playing is probably.
I keep a screwdriver on my desk because I'm always like, there's always something to be like adjusted and like and fiddled with to make it play better.
Yeah, and like visually as well, and it has like both of those aspects. Like there's like the performance aspect, and then there's like the aesthetic aspect too.
The aesthetic.
Whereas,
did you guys see the latest mod to my axe? The latest mod. Figured you would appreciate it.
Look at that.
Red.
The official guitar.
Sick.
The official guitar of Team Animal Style. Historic.
There is none other.
One of one.
Red guitars only for the new jam.
I feel like Julian's gonna start like playing the guitar soon. I feel like it's only like a matter of time.
Good. The more the merrier.
Yeah, dude. Well, you teach me guitar, I'll teach you drifting.
Okay. You might regret that decision, but sure. I'm so scared of just like getting behind the wheel of one of your vehicles and just immediately like totaling it. It's like, whoops.
You don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm holding you to that.
But you do need to ride in a car first, and
oh yeah,
it's fucking crazy.
I need to
experience this yet. Like
I don't even know how to drive stick. I mean, I understand it conceptually, but I've never like done it before.
I taught learning how to drive stick in a drift car is like easier and more difficult at the same time. Like it's easier because like you can just like let off the clutch super hard and the car like probably won't die. So like learning the like rolling thing isn't that hard, but like drifting if you've never driven a manual car, I mean, you could just do skid pad shit and like leave it in second pretty much and like drift. You could learn to drift without.
All right,
like,
we'll start there.
That I taught
that's where the journey will begin.
All the cars. Yeah, all the cars at the school that I taught at for like a weekend, which was a fucking ridiculous weekend, but they were all automatic. Like you can learn like the weight transfer and stuff. Like you don't necessarily, it's like the advanced course, I guess, would be like shifting in drift and all that stuff. If you could get from first to second gear, then you're good. Pretty much.
Okay, good. I feel like I can do that. Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see. On the next episode of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, man. Or like even get like a sim set up and we'll fucking teach you from there. Like,
Oh God.
Then you can jump in the car like half these kids and like know how to do it kind of.
Okay. If I was gonna get a PC rig, how much RAM do I need? I know the game is Assetto Corsa.
Dude, don't worry. Don't worry about that. We've got the homie. He's the ultimate nerd.
Yeah.
He can fight. Like you just say the word. You say, "I want a PC that will play Assetto." He will find one. He'll have Assetto on it. It'll be ready to go, sent to your fucking house. You tell us. Mine was. I mean, I got really lucky. Mine was $150. And it runs the graphics down a little bit, but it runs smooth.
You don't need much to run Assetto. If you want to like max out the settings, like
the word. This might be the moment where I say the word.
But you need the wheel and everything. That's where it starts to get pricey. I told you about,
You told me the wheel.
Total, like it's not.
I've I've searched for it on eBay a couple times. I saw the prices. I'm okay with it.
It's not
I just want to hang with the crew and drift and like tell jokes and laugh and have fun and be a part of a community. You know,
definitely cheaper than a real drift car. That's for damn sure. So you could start there.
But I mean, you know, might as well. Might as well.
Safer too.
Might as. You know what? Just buy the fucking car. Let's go, dude. It'll be sweet.
Oh God. Okay. Here it comes.
I mean, just dive in. Who knows? I don't know. Come out, drive a car. You're tall. You could drive either of our cars. Right-hand drive might be a little fucking disorienting. You can even drive my shit. It'll be fine. My car is actually pretty forgiving, so. Also,
I'm in.
Yeah.
I've managed to break it a couple times, but Palmer broke my car too. It's just the way it goes.
I did. I fused this clutch together because I did some goofy shit. But you know what? What are friends for? You know?
That's the way she goes.
Yeah.
That's the game.
We're like used to breaking our cars, so like it's like I've had other people.
Bodie!
I know he's like sneaking in the background. I like
special guest of the podcast.
I like having a little fuzzy homie. He's cool.
Little fuzzy.
I myself am on the verge of getting a dog. I think it's like gonna happen really soon.
It's a lot of work. I didn't realize like
I know
needed so much shit. Like my girlfriend and I looked at each other the other day and we were like, we are not ready for kids. Like this is not even fucking a reality anytime.
Oh, soon. You got it. You're gonna. It's sometimes. Listen. Sometimes the road is bumpy, but you get there, you know?
Yeah. You just got to make them, you know, and then hope for the best. And if they end up as serial killers, then, you know, such is life.
Yeah, I guess so, huh?
Yeah. I've been watching The Night Stalker, so like I just assume like.
Dude.
Oh, okay. That's like where your mind's at.
Yeah, you know, I'm like, well, if I had a kid, I'd probably think they're.
That shit is crazy.
Yeah, man. There's some wild people out there.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Luckily, we do weird hobbies and we're distracted with other shit. I feel like if you were just like super anxious and you like didn't have anything to do and you didn't have any hobbies, you'd just be like,
oh, guitar 100% saved my life. Like 1 million. Like I don't know what I would be doing.
Yeah.
If I like, it's so weird. Like I can be super anxious, super like just in a bad place, and like I'll pick up the instrument and I'll immediately feel calmer. Like it's funny. Like when I think of like back on like this last year, people are gonna ask me like, "Oh, what did you do?" And I'm like, "Well, I just like recorded like as much as possible." It was like the one constant thing to keep me sane. And I'm sure the same as for you guys. You're like, well, like I had my car to work on and like do just like think about that.
When did you?
Or maybe not.
I was at the shop. I was at the shop a lot, man.
When did you start playing? And like, did you have like family that played, or how did you get on guitar?
So I started, my first instrument is actually piano, and I started that when I was 5. And I have 4 brothers and 1 little sister. And my oldest brother, the same brother that gave me the Van Halen record, when I was around 8, like he had a guitar, and it was one of those things where like when I would be in his room, it would be like this thing that I'd see, and I would be like, ooh, like. And sometimes when I'd hear him play it, and I'd be like, "What? Like, that's cool! Like, that's so cool! Like, if I had one of those, like, I would be cool." You know, it's like eventually, like, I asked my mom for a guitar, and I'm very fortunate to like be able to like get one. And it's just like it's just one of those things where I love playing it. And I didn't realize until later that like that like I just like assumed that like everybody who got a guitar just played it as much as I did. So like I've always kind of like been in these situations where like people will be like, oh yeah, like I play guitar, and then I like kind of give up. And I was like, wait, what? Like that was an option? Like you didn't just like stick with it and just learn all the weird stuff that you can like it's fun. Like why didn't you? I don't know. It's one of those things where I was just fortunate
I feel like you
enough
and
to like come in
Julian
contact with one.
share that mindset. I feel like you and Julian share that mindset.
Yeah.
Like drifting.
I mean,
why would you do
Julian,
anything else?
because is it the only thing that you feel like you're cut out for? It's just like your home base, like like when you do it, you're like, oh yes, like
drifting.
I don't feel like a failure when I do this, so I'm gonna just do this.
Yeah, there's definitely times where I'm like, what the fuck what have I been doing with my life these past several years? And then I think of how long I've actually been drifting, and then I'm like, what the fuck would I be doing if not drifting? Like nothing. There's nothing. Like I can't not do it. It's like
it's like
yeah.
It's like it's weird because when you explain it to people, you're just like, oh, that there was never it's like there was never a plan B. It was just like, oh, I just do what I need to do to just get to that place where it's like you get to play guitar. Like figure out like whatever other life stuff that you can take care of, just like figure it out so you can get back to to riffing, you know. Like
who taught you then? Did anyone teach you?
Oh, I've had many teachers over the years, but like my first like it was so funny as a kid because like my mom would make me do piano lessons, and it was like classical piano. So I played a bunch of like Chopin, Debussy, like all that stuff. It's just like very like European classical. Like the notes are on the page, you play the notes, like, and that's it. And I remember like there was a time on piano where I figured out like, oh, like I can kind of just like make it up, like, because you learn enough like Mozart and Bach songs on piano. It's like you're like, oh, like you kind of notice like similar stuff starts happening. You're like, oh, like this is how you kind of like make songs. You can do that. But I always remember like piano lessons were like insanely structured. Like, oh, you have to learn these pieces this week, and then like I remember one piano teacher I had at the end of my lesson, he would always make me sight read something, and I was horrible at it because my whole career as a musician, like the one thing I've always been able to rely on is that I can play stuff by ear, and I'm better at that than like reading the music. So what I always used to do in piano lessons was they would put a piece of music in front of me and like they'd be like, all right, play it. I'd be like, okay, and I'd like try to sight read it. I'd be terrible at it, and then like I would kind of like plod through it, and I'd kind of like huff and puff, and then they would be like, no, like see, like, and then they would play it, and I'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So my first guitar teacher is this guy named Ray Wilson, and I remember when I think back to our lessons, I'm like, there was like a long period of time where I was like, it felt like I was like, this guy's not teaching me anything, because in retrospect, what I realized is he was actually teaching me something insanely invaluable, which was he would just let me play and he would just jam with me. Like he like taught the first thing he taught me how to do was like play the blues, and it's like once you know how to play the blues, you can play like 90 billion songs because all blues songs kind of have like the same structure. And he would teach me like little things, and then we would like jam, and he would like play licks, and he like taught me how to like think about music in terms of like improvising and like just like doing stuff on the fly. And now I think about that now.
That's how you had to like create music instead of play music.
I was like, I'm so glad I had that guy as my first teacher, because it was great. He would just like hang out with me for an hour and jam, and like it made me that's like what got me like really excited about music, was that like it wasn't just like, oh, like boring piano lesson where I gotta play this like antiquated old like piece from the 1700s or whatever, which is funny because now I love classical music. It's great. But like, you know, when you're a kid and like your older brother gives you the first Van Halen album, if you're like sitting there playing Mozart, you're like, this is dorky. Like, I want to like, I want to rock, you know?
I want to
And this
fucking.
Ray Wilson guy, like, this Ray Wilson guy, he would just be like, well, what do you want to do? And I'd go like, oh, like, and he would, you know, he would teach me little things. And like, as I got older, I like, there's just so many things where like, I guess like I would just like learn stuff like naturally, or like I didn't like guitar was just like fun to me, and I was having so much fun that I wasn't realizing that I was kind of like learning all this stuff like naturally. And then I would like meet people who are like, when you're in like middle school and high school and you're like trying to form a band or whatever, and then like you find a kid who like just got a bass for Christmas, and they come over and they're like, you know, they're struggling to like play stuff by ear, and you're like, no, like I'm like, just listen to the song, like you can hear what he's doing. And you realize, oh, like not everybody like learns how to do that. Like not everybody is like lucky enough to like have that teacher that like really like helps you develop your ear. Yeah. So I think back to a lot of that stuff, and I'm like, wow, like I'm so like lucky that like I was just like in this environment where like, you know, this random guitar teacher that my like parents hired, he was like smart enough to be like, oh, like I'm gonna teach this kid how to do this, because like this will actually be like very beneficial to him. So so Julian, did you have a similar experience where like you kind of just like you just like picked up like drifting stuff, and then you kind of like later you realize, oh, like it's not normal that like people figure this out on like this quickly? Or
the thing about drifting is like when I got into it, there was like nobody else that was into it in my area, because I grew up in like a tiny little town, and nobody even like I was ranting and raving about drifting, and people were like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you mean like bouncing around from town to town? I'm like, no, like sliding a car sideways. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Except for like a few of my like older friends who were like driving around real fast in their BMW. Like I learned a lot from those guys. But yeah, people didn't know what drifting was back when I got into it. So I just studied those D1 videos. Like I just studied that and looked for onboard footage and saw what their steering was doing. And like,
how did you find the D1 videos first? Did you like download
LimeWire?
Kazaa? Okay, yeah. Amazing. Yes, similar experience with music.
That's what
I used to download music videos all the time. And like, and then I feel like there was one time where like, it used to be you could like download like old like guitar like instructional videos, and like you would find those, and it'd be like some dude from the 80s being like, and then like you would try to like play that or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's, oh man, I love that you like also like Kazaa was like a gateway to like the secret knowledge of like stuff that like regular people are like not into.
Yeah, and it was like on dial-up internet, and you'd like start downloading a video, and like it would take hours to get like a few seconds of it, and you could preview it and be like, is this something I want to continue downloading? Like, is this worth
like, is this secretly something possibly pornographic? That used to happen.
That's how I got like all the Initial D episodes. It was like on Kazaa. It took so long. It took like days to download.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Kids have it so easy these days where everything is just like, you can just find it like so immediately.
Yeah.
It's
no
like
idea.
We're on our way to the Matrix, where they just like go through the chips, and they're like, oh, what do you want to learn today? Like, oh, Kung Fu. Okay. I'm like loaded in like that. They have like a really like shitty version of that, and it's YouTube.
Yeah.
Like,
see, I
can kind of just go like, I want to learn this, and you can just type it in, and it's a lot slower of a process, but it still exists.
Soon to be fucking Neuralink, where you can actually.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. See, I remember having like conversations with my brothers where we were just, because like, you know, we had limited hard drive space, and it's like there were at the time before
You had
my
one
sister was in
computer
my
in the house.
family. Yeah, it's like we're all sharing it. So I remember there was a discussion like, all right, guys, like I know we're downloading a lot of music on Kazaa. Like, let's try and stick to stuff that we don't already own on CD. Let's try to like make sure that like when we're downloading stuff, like it's kind of like rare. It's not the stuff that we already have because we don't need it to be redundant. Like the fact that like I even had like that type of
Yeah.
conversation where it's
Or
like,
like you
yo, like don't hog the Kazaa bandwidth here. Like let's be strategic with the downloads.
you'd have to like try and find things on the computer you could delete that like weren't important, and then you'd like end up deleting something that was actually super important, like to the computer or like
Oh yeah.
to your mom's thing that she needed for something. You're like, what is this? Well, we don't need that. I need us another song. like I remember doing that all the time.
But luckily, I was like the only one nerding out on the internet. Like my brother wasn't into it, and my mom was definitely
Nice.
on the internet.
Oh man.
I had a different experience because I just thought the act of it was cool, but I wasn't studying it. Or maybe I was like subconsciously, but I wasn't like looking for in-car, and I wasn't like looking like how did they do it. I was just like all I saw was like this looks cool when I want to do it, but I didn't know. Like I had the same experience. I would like download videos on Kazaa. I would just like type in drifting and see what came up, and it would be like that 99 Red Balloons video and like all kinds of
it's such a good one.
weird edit stuff people edited together.
Is there drifting in the 99 Red Balloons video?
There's a
No,
video.
it's like a drifting compilation with that song.
Is it the Goldfinger version or the 80s version?
Good question.
It's on YouTube. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
I found it on YouTube.
Dying to know. I bet it's the Goldfinger version of the song.
I think it's the
Is it more
Goldfinger
rock?
version.
Is it more rock or is it more synth pop?
I think it's more rock.
It's it's probably Goldfinger. That's really funny. That's awesome.
I think it's the Goldfinger version. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So and then I tried to like imitate those. So I would go and I would like find little clips and like edit them together with my own music and stuff. And that was like me kind of like thinking drifting was cool, but I had like I just didn't think it was like something that I'd ever be able to do or like thought was possible or like
that's amazing.
I was like 13, so I just thought it was like this cool thing. I never thought that I would be like doing it later on. Maybe that's why I wasn't like studying how they did it.
That's another reason why I think what you guys do is the things that you guys do are so cool, because it's like me like doing music, even when I was a kid, like it's a pretty like established like plan of action for like, oh, you want to do music? Well, you got to do this, this, and this, and this. And it's, things change, but it's, but like when you guys are finding out about drifting and you guys were like, oh, I want to do this. There's like zero game plan for that. So the fact that you guys like got into it and did it in a super organic way, like I think that is like so like invaluable to like what you guys do, because it's like, and I think it's what makes you guys so passionate, and that passion like translates in all of the stuff that I watch. Like it's like so infectious and fresh, in a way that like music could ever be, really, because like it's like the pathways for like making music are like pretty like set. I mean, things change and like markets get disrupted and stuff, but like you guys you guys found this thing and you were like, oh, like I don't like there's I don't know, it's like there's like no context for it, really. Like you guys like are creating more of the context than I get to.
I think if you compare music to cars, then it's a even smaller like subculture genre, right? So it's like you can do like some wild thing with like a subgenre of music, but like if you look at music, it's like, well, I'm still making music, right? Like I'm still driving a car. I'm just like doing something kind of different with it. I don't know. The limitations are non-existent kind of with music. And
if you need sparks, you got to have friction. Pressure makes diamonds.
Yeah. And swords.
Yeah.
Interdasting.
Man.
Yep.
We're getting fucking deep.
Good.
It was good.
I was gonna say something and then I forgot. But yeah,
Julian's been doing all. You guys have been doing all the interviewing. This is great. I'm just like sitting back with my dumb comments and like, you guys are taking care of the business for
I
me.
mean, that's.
yeah, dude. Back to fucking.
I'm just trying to make the podcast fun, you know.
Back to Gran Turismo
Yeah.
3. Back in those days, like downloading Kazaa videos and then trying to like emulate it with the controller on Gran Turismo 3. I did that for hours and hours and hours and hours.
That is so crazy.
So like I learned some of like the right line and the, you know, timing of
Whoa.
switching the car and all that shit like with a controller on Gran Turismo. Like I would
Whoa.
I had like replays saved of like absolute perfect drifting laps on every track, like just from repeating it over and over and over and over again.
That's so
On a
crazy.
memory
That's pretty
card, which fucking kids these days don't even know what the fuck that is. A PS2 memory card.
Do you still have them?
No way.
Oh,
Dude, I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Man. Well, like
Yeah, it's crazy,
14-year-old
like-
Julian's replay fucking vids.
Dude, video games and fucking Initial D, like some anime. It's crazy how those kind of things can teach you so much stuff. You
Yeah.
know, like you think of
Well,
Initial
yeah.
D as like this silly cartoon, but it
Well,
like
they do
embodies
explain a
the-
bunch of stuff in it. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Well,
like
also-
embodies the spirit
also-
of drifting so much too.
Well,
Yeah.
they got what's his name was an advisor to the show, so it was like I think that's
Yeah.
why the show is so good. Is that
Oh, for
like
sure. Yeah.
is that
Yeah.
they got people from their actual culture to like be a part of it and like, you know, be advisors to it, and it's like it's authentic. Like people who are like you guys are like super legit drifters and you like rep Initial D, so I think that's like testament to how like in depth and like how respectful the show was to the culture.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a kid who just grew up driving on the mountain, and it just shows that, you know, the more you drive, the better you get. It's exactly what drifting is. Like, you don't have to have the fanciest equipment. You just have to keep driving and keep pushing to go faster and faster and faster. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I'm sure.
at
I'm
least
sure,
in Japanese drifting.
I'm sure you see that in
No.
music. Like, there's people with just like
Oh yeah.
insane like gear, and they just have like all these amps and wild guitars and stuff, and they just don't play them enough. You know, I mean,
Oh yeah, well, I mean, there'll be guys with, you know, like refrigerator size, like racks full of like gear, and then like some guy will show up with like, you know, like a guitar and an amp, and then he'll like just sound the best, you know, and you're like, how does he do that? And you like ask him, it's like, oh, I just play, like this is just
Yeah.
that's all I know, like,
yeah.
you're like that's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think we deal with that. And then, yeah, there's those kids that you show up to at like random tracks and you're like, oh, who is this? You know, it's like somebody who's not trying to, you know, put their name out there or anything. And they just have like a, you know, whatever car, and they just drive all the time. And you're like, that's always the answer. That's always the answer. You show up, you're like, who is this
Time
dude?
on
And
task.
they're like, oh, that guy's always driving. And you're like, that makes sense. You know, it's never like, oh, this is his first time, or like, oh, he or she or fucking whoever like just started. It's always like, I just do this a lot. Like I do this all that I can, you know. And you're like,
It's such a rare thing in America though, but like when you go to Japan, there's like so many people that you've never heard of ever that are just ripping so
they
fucking
don't have
hard.
social
Like,
media.
what
They don't do it for
like,
that. They do it
what
because
the fuck?
we were at Nihon last time, and there was this dude, I've never seen him there before, or maybe he had a different car or whatever, but he would they do like run groups at Mahon, so there's like different level run groups, and then you go out for like 15 minutes or so, and he would go and he had like this little like goofy like phone clip thing, and he would clip it to one of the trees, like just outside like the first corner where like everyone kind of like comes in, aimed at the wall, and he would set up his phone and hit record. Yeah, you're gonna be back. We lost him.
Ooh.
All right. I mean,
Oh, there he is. You there?
Yeah.
Please forgive our technical difficulties.
yeah, my ear pods died.
Ah.
Huh. Shit happens. I mean, it has been 3 hours, so.
So yeah, so there's a guy with a
With his phone
with a
on.
Yeah,
crate,
just a dude like no graphics on his car, right? Nothing. He's just like a dude in an S13, Sylvia, pretty clean car, all by himself. Every time he'd go hang his phone up on a tree and point it at the track, and he would go out for his 15-minute session, and he would just go, and every single time he was just trying to nail the perfect line, and he would film it.
Right.
He'd come back, he'd watch the entire session, like for like a half an hour. So he'd watch it like a couple times, like he'd watch like himself go by every time, right? And then, he'd go back to the car, hang out for a sec, come back, put the phone in the tree, go back out for a session. He just did that all day. And literally throughout the day, he would like slowly progress and progress and progress and progress. And I think he like placed in the comp the next day for like single run, like line essentially. Like, yeah. And it's this dude doesn't, he might have like a Twitter with like, 60 followers or something. And it's like, he doesn't put like that. That's just kind of the mindset there. It's not like I don't know how to explain it.
And
it's
if
not
you came to drive at an event in the States, it would like fucking blow everyone's mind. But over there, it's just like, oh, this is another guy who drifts.
It's amazing.
Who's very good.
Like doing something just for the passion of like trying to do something good and not doing it for like clout or something like that.
Yeah, it's like 99% that in Japan, and in America, it's probably like 90% people doing it and like really want something.
Yeah,
not,
sadly.
maybe it's not that much.
I think it's less than that. Yeah.
I think that everyone who drifts in any country enjoys the shit out of it because it's the most fun you can possibly have. Like, so I'm not hating on those people, but like a lot of the people that drift in America, they also want some kind of recognition for it and they want to show it off. But in Japan, it's like there's just very little of that, and it shows in their driving.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's not a showy thing. They're trying to like perfect the perfect line or whatever. And I mean, I'm sure I feel like that's probably pretty common in music. Like I feel like that might be even. I feel like there's a lot more people who do music, who can do music just like for fun. But it's like my brother, like he's not doing that to be cool. Like I played a clip when you were gone, Julian. My brother playing guitar, and it's like he's just like having fun, and that he's not like he's sending it to his close friends on Instagram, which is like 14 people, just to be like, hey, look, I'm like learning songs or whatever. Awesome.
I wish I could
like
do
that. I feel like I don't know. I feel like music. You kind of maybe I don't know. Do you think drifting you like have that option? I feel like it's almost like because so many people do it over here and like kind of put content out or
have what option? To not
be like the people in Japan where they just do it for themselves and
of course it's just
I
don't know, it's just a different
mindset. Just more uncommon, I guess.
Here.
Yeah.
Which is it's okay. Whatever. I'm at a point where I struggle to like post shit because I don't think it's that great. And then you see other people that are posting like shit that's just like it's not good, but they're talking about how good it is. It's like I don't think that does any good for anything.
Well, that happens in music. That's just like a reality of modern life, I guess. Like that's kind of stuff like it gets to me. Like I see like because I'm so hard on myself as a guitar player, like I'll see stuff that other people do and I'm like, oh, but like you could have like EQ'd this differently and you could have like
Well, you sound like an asshole if you tell them
but like at the same time it's like everybody's at a different place in their progression and unfortunately, like a way to a lot of social media works these days, and a lot of ways that the algorithms are configured, um, the apps that we use, they reward people who post more often, and a lot of times this stuff is just like a pure like numbers game of like,
Yeah,
if you like continuously post content, like your numbers will grow.
Yeah.
So like I think that's why you probably see like a lot of people who are just doing kind of like average, like dumb stuff. It's because they're just trying to get stuff out there. So it looks
not
like
even just, it's not just the amount of people, it's like the way they come off when they're posting it. It's like they're doing something that's not even good, or they're like, they know that they fucked up, so they cut the clip short, but then their caption is like, look at this fucking
I do that.
It's different. I don't know, it's different. Different and different.
You like break a string and you're like, just cut it short, fuck it. It was cool. I don't know, I guess not breaking a string just happens. Does that happen? I have a question. This is like a really dumb novice. Sorry, I gotta ask this. So like people talk about like you like when you're like playing live or whatever, you like break a string or whatever. Like, can you like adjust to that and like play the same shit without that string? This is dumb. I could probably Google it.
Okay. What kind of guitar you're playing?
Okay.
So if your guitar has, I'll explain it with this guy.
These are things I need to know.
So if your guitar has a whammy bar, which is this thing, it depends on what whammy bar. So this whammy bar, I can bend notes up with it, and I can bend notes down with it. And the way it works is the strings, when they're tuned to pitch, have a certain tension. And in the back, you can't see it, but underneath this cavity right here, there's springs that counteract the force of the tension of the strings. And this whammy bar is mounted on 2 posts on knife edges. So the equilibrium of the strings and the springs, like that keeps everything in tune, basically. So if you break a string, suddenly the amount of force that's being pulled this way changes. So you break a string, and all of a sudden all the other strings are out of tune. So if you break a string on a floating bridge like that, you're screwed. But if you play guitar without a whammy bar, the rest of the strings, because there's no like crazy like equilibrium. If it's just like a regular like non-whammy bar guitar, if you break a string, you can probably get through the rest of the song without doing it. If you want to see one of the coolest videos of all time, there's a video of Stevie Ray Vaughan playing, and he's playing a solo, and he breaks a string in the middle of it, and he finishes the solo, and then he goes into a section of the song where it's kind of like he'll play a riff and then stop. So they get to this section, and he's singing, and his tech runs out, and he unplugs his guitar and hands his tech his old guitar, and his tech puts the other guitar on him like seamlessly. Like he's still singing, and he does that. And then when the guitar has to come back in, he has a new guitar, and he just goes right into it again. And it's like if you have your eyes closed, you would never tell. Yeah. But yeah, it can be a really huge issue if you break a string. Long story short.
How often does that happen?
Thankfully with me, I rarely break a string. While I'm playing. In all of the Rock of Ages shows that we did, I think before we had to just shut down, we were in the middle of our. I want to say that we might have did 100 shows, or maybe we did. I can't remember. There was some milestone number that happened right before. I think we had done 100 shows or something, and the only time that I had broke a string was literally on the last song that we did in the musical is Journey's "Don't Stop Believing." And we used to do this thing where we do the thing where we go we hit the last chord and we would go dun dun, 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 you know, and like you do like a crazy like swell of an ending. And I remember on the last like and good night, dun, like on that last note, I broke like the highest string of my guitar. And I was like, whoa, like, like man, not during the show. But I like with Rock of Ages, we had like a backup guitar in case I broke something. I could just switch it out really quick. But like I wrote well. I got talking and I lost my train of thought. What was the original?
I don't even know.
Yeah, I derailed
But
that one.
so like there are a lot of factors that go into it. My hands thankfully like don't sweat, but I've heard that like depending how acidic your like sweat is, that can really affect how often you break strings. Like Slash, for example, like he breaks a string every night. It's like it's just a given. Apparently he has really acidic sweat, and like he also plays like pretty hard. So like I remember watching a video of his like tech explaining like his setup or whatever, and he was like, "Oh yeah, like he breaks one every night. Like it's just part of the show. Like, and I just have a backup ready to go, and like he just deals with it."
Weird.
That's kind of sick.
I think the last time I broke a string and I had to switch guitars in the middle of a song was high school.
Damn.
But I'm like like when I was doing Rock of Ages, like at the beginning of every week, I would like go through my guitar and I would change strings. I would like set it up. I would like do everything, every possible thing to like not have that issue.
Have you done like much Myrone performances aside from like the Slay at Home stuff?
I played at the Whiskey one time, and then I did another gig. It used to be that Myrone was the project that I would do like on the side when I wasn't doing like pop, like writing sessions of production, and like I used to do like more like studio stuff, and then like I did my own stuff, and then I would get little opportunities where like I would just play by myself. Like I would put on the backing track and just play. And then I met some guys that played in like video game music bands. Like,
is that like the guys from Rocket League?
Yeah. So the guys that I do my own shows with, their day job is they work for the company that makes Rocket League. Like they're like I think one guy like designs like the cars, and the other guy does video content. But yeah, like they like reached out and like they booked me for a festival where I played by myself, and he was like, if you ever need a drummer, and he's from San Diego, and my fiance's family is in San Diego. So there's one time in like at the end of 2018, I was down there and I was like, hey, do you want to like get in a room and like see if we can just like play these? And we got in, and it like worked. So it kind of just grew out of that.
That's cool.
Kind of sick.
Yeah. So
it's crazy like how you find band members of like it seems like like you
well, it's probably similar to what
I don't know
do.
Like
you make, like you said, you used to like, you know, just like make videos of yourself drifting, and I'm sure that's like how you found all the people that you do your stuff with. You just like you make the thing that you're passionate about, and eventually you find other people.
I used to like the first drift event I went to, I just took pictures, like took really crappy pictures on like my Canon T2i with the kit lens, and like put them on Facebook, and like a couple guys hit me up and they were like, hey, like I noticed you have like a 240, like do you want to come drifting with us? And like I worked with people who had like kind of like one of them had a 240, and I'd like have friends who like talked about him and stuff, but no one who was like really, really like down, like really into it. And then I went out with them one night and yeah, I guess that is kind of how it works. But like, I think the band stuff's really interesting. Like from an outside perspective, you always assume this is like, you know, super like layman's like, you know nothing about music. You like assume that everyone's like friends from high school and then they like start a band and then they like, you know, do shit. But it's kind of interesting.
I mean,
to
that
see
happens sometimes.
Yeah. But like, it's interesting like that you just find one person here and one person there and you're like, this person does what we need, hey, what about this? And then like you kind of like create this like group of people to go out and like do this very specific thing in music. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think I didn't realize that's how it worked.
Yeah, it's kind of every time it happens, it's kind of like miraculous because it's like when I first started making my own stuff, I was like nobody's gonna be into this. This is just like I started. I literally the first Myrone song I made because like
that's how I felt about this podcast.
Yeah, well, like
probably still right, but
the first one I ever did, like I made it because like I was doing all these. It was in 2013, and I was like doing all these sessions, and I was doing okay. Like I got signed to a pub deal or whatever, and like like I had people like repping me, and I was getting in cool sessions. I was like meeting cool people, like I was doing stuff, and like occasionally it'd be like written up by like something cool. But I was like, I'm not doing like I wasn't playing the kind of guitar that I wanted to do. And every time I would kind of like try to shoehorn like guitar into like stuff where it really didn't belong. And I always would get feedback and be like, well, it's too much guitar, like it's too much shredding for this. I feel like, and eventually I just got
never.
Man, like what do people know? I'm just gonna like make a song that's just like this. Because when I first started recording when I was 15, like I just made really goofy like instrumental guitar stuff because I was just like I had this software where you could like record really easily. And like I was just like, oh, I'll just like record myself shredding because I'm 15. I'm like, that's what I'll do. So I was like, well, what if I just like make music like that again? And that's like I made it, and my manager at the time was like, I don't know like what this is, but it's cool. But like you should just like you should just like make it a project and then like come up with a fake name and like release it. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like so I made that like first EP and I just like put it out. And then I kind of found out, I was like, oh, like there was like a Facebook group called it's called like Synthetics or something, but it was like all like the early like synthwavy type of stuff. Like people would go in there and like post music, and I like made this EP and I kind of like posted in there, and they kind of like, well, oh yeah, this is cool, and it just kind of grew from that basically. But it sounds very similar to like your situation where it's like you kind of just like did this thing and then like you like shared this thing that you did and people were like, oh, like you do this, like come hang out with us, like we also do this, and kind of just like builds off of that momentum.
Is that so? Were you like 16 when you recorded the first stuff then?
No. I mean, I have like MP3s that I made like when I was super young they're horrible, and they have they were like oh man. I have MP3s on my computer that would end my career. And I also have like MP3s that I made with other people like a long time ago, and like some of the people have like gone on to be like famous singers or whatever, and like I just have stuff that like they made with me and it's like so bad, and I'm like
better send me some of that.
Oh, I will. I have really funny stuff.
He'll send it to you when you send him your memory cards from Gran Turismo 3.
Yeah, I need to see those replays.
I don't think I have them. Trust me, I would send them. But yeah, there's Yeah. I'll admit, like at first, I was definitely just like digging through your music for the stuff that sounded like D1GP intro songs, and then like I was
How did you find out about it?
from the.
I'm always curious, like how people like stumble across it, because I feel like one of the things that I'm bad at is like promoting it.
It was from the guy at our event that made the drone video with exclusive coupe, and then I heard that and I was like, "What is this?" Found the game album and the Drift Stage main theme, which I used for that Super D video. That's D1GP music. It's like the fucking exact shit like that, and like Strafe, Jump Zone, like that is D1GP. Like that sounds like the intro to D1GP. And there are like a couple other songs you have that are like perfect for that. So I was digging for that stuff, and then I started talking to you, and I was like, this dude's fucking cool. Like I'm gonna go dig through all of this shit. Like I listen to your music like every day now. It's some of my favorite music. Like, it's just like it. I don't know. It has this vibe.
The drive to Grange is like. The drive to Grange is like 10 hours. Like when I said we listened to it the whole way to the track and back, I'm talking about like 20 hours in the car.
That is. Wow. That's crazy.
Like it wasn't like an hour there and back. Yeah.
No, like it's.
Yeah, I was
just like I don't know. I feel good when I listen to it. I know that's the point of music, but like.
That's good. I mean, that's like what I want. Like when I make it, because like a lot of those songs, like I made, like I was like, maybe I like the day before, the week before, I made some like horrible crap before I was like doing something with.
When I heard it, I just like immediately thought of Gran Turismo. Like I was like, this sounds like some like Gran Turismo like
big
demo
influence.
like scene. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. Like they had some of that type of music like mixed in the soundtrack of Gran Turismo, like all the Gran Turismos.
One of my favorite bands of all time is this band called T Square, and the guitar player from T Square, Masahiro Ando. You know that song "Moon Over the Castle"? That's like kind of the like,
yeah.
That's him. He did that. That's like his song. It's like. T Square released a version of it, but it's called something else. I think it's called like Night Song or whatever. But yeah, like they're like one of my favorite bands, and like I'm always like hesitant to show people T Square because like I feel like I show that to people and they're like, oh, like this is different. I'm like, yeah, no.
I mean, I wonder if Japan, like, I feel like Japan needs to hear Myrone. Like, I feel like it'll like slowly make its way over there because of like super.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, I've done J-pop songs before. And like one of my really good friends lives in Tokyo, and she's like a big A&R like over there. And every once in a while, like I'll somehow get a song placed over there.
Like I want to. I've been trying to like show everyone your music, and like I feel like everyone that I've shown is like pretty stoked on it, and that's why like I hit up Will, and because I can see like just to plant the seed, because I can see like so Will does like car commercials and like.
I watched Will's
and like songs like that could be in car commercials.
I watched Will's reel the other day.
You watched what?
I watched his reel the other day. He like Dude, I was like, sick. This guy rocks.
Dude,
Will's insane. Yeah, Will's insane.
I feel like you guys together would do amazing stuff. But yeah, I've been trying to like show video people your music because I feel like you could do really good shit together.
Yeah, that's the one.
There'll be like a point where they'll be like, you know, it would be fucking perfect for this. Like, yeah, that's the cool part. It's always like down the road, you know. It's never like, oh, I need that for this right now. Like, it's gonna be someone like they're gonna be like working on some project and be like, wait, who's that guy Julian showed me? Fuck, I need to like, yeah. That's like always how it goes.
Perfect.
Yeah. I don't know, man. all I know is, I think we did like 3 hours, dude. You want to like shout anyone out? You got like, actually, I think it's 3.5 hours now.
Yeah, I mean, if you've made it to this part of the podcast, I'd like to give a shout out to, I mean, if you so choose, like, please buy my music on Bandcamp. It's myrone.bandcamp.com or Firstborne. I don't know. I forget what just search Myrone and or Firstborne.
You don't have a choice, dude. You have to go buy Myrone's music on.
Yeah, please do, so I can make more.
Yeah, you won't be disappointed.
Yeah, it's literally what Julian listens to every day. If you want to drive like Julian, you need to listen to Myrone. That's
yes.
That's the trick, dude.
I can endorse that message.
And you have to go back in time and play a lot of Gran Turismo, but listen to Myrone while you're in your time machine and while you're playing Gran Turismo. Problem solved.
There we go.
That's it.
That's how we win.
That's how you succeed in life.
We figured it out. Great.
Sick, dude. Well, let's go drifting soon.
Yeah, let's.
Yeah,
we're doing that. I'm excited.
I'm in.
We should do another one of these post Myrone experiencing drifting.
That'd be cool.
Dude, I'm so pumped. I want to do this so bad.
Yeah. I mean, dude, they got a little like skid pad at Grange now. You can like learn how to shift and then, go fly off the track into the Grange dust that will never come off anything. It's like a stamp of approval, Shit. Well, I don't really like sign these off, so I'm just gonna probably like edit the end like here.
This is Palmer. This is Palmer trying to say goodbye. No, leave this in, dude. Leave your fucking awkward goodbye in.
Yeah, we have to have a moment where it's officially over, because I have to ask a question, and that is, there was a point in the podcast where I might have farted. I was a little worried that it was on audio, and I just barreled through it. I just acted like it didn't happen.
I didn't notice. I was gonna push one out a couple times, but I just didn't.
Dude, I farted twice on this already. If you didn't hear it mine, then you didn't like.
Okay, cool.
Like, yeah.
Dude, I would have ran with it anyway. If you should have just owned it and been like, whoop.
I was in the middle of saying something and it happened. I was just like, just keep going.
I mean, you should just leave this in.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like a nice Easter egg.
We'll see.
Into the podcast.
Dude, if you make it 3.5 hours, you deserve this conversation.
Yeah, like this, you should just leave all of this in the pod.
This is what people.
Yeah. This is why we're number 4 in automotive in Russia. Okay, this is why. Shit like this, keeping it real with the homies. That's what I should have called the podcast. I don't know, dude. Anyway, I'm kind
of disappointed you didn't even throw Goodest. You didn't use Goodest in this one like you always do.
I didn't say Goodest the whole time. Dude, I was day drinking a bit today, I should have pulled up with like full energy, and I apologize. The
energy was there. I couldn't tell. Nobody could tell.
All right. Well, I took a nap. Before this. I was like, oh shit, I got to do one with Myrone. I need to be prepared. So I took a nap.
Was it the Goodest nap?
I slept Goodest. Oh. That was forced.
I can hear your ending music right now.
Yeah, it's playing. Yeah, fuck yeah, right? Yeah, Yeah, thanks, Thomas Todd, my Eskimo brethren. I appreciate it. All right, fucking tune in next week. I'm gonna have Bugs Bunny on. All right, I'm gonna end it, dude. No, it's this.
All right.
All right, I really stopped recording. Thank you. You're the shit.
Oh, thank you guys. Like I love a good pod. Always down.
Yeah. If anyone makes it this far,
Legend.
congrats.
All right, dude. Sick. Good time.
Fuck.
Goodest times.
Yeah.
Dude, do a juggle. Do a juggle. Do a juggle.
All right, I'll do a juggle for you. Hold on. I gotta take these headphones off. Oh. I'm getting there.
I'm impressed.
I gotta work on the speed. Hold on, I can hear you.
I'd whip out my balls, but they're all the way in the shop.
Dude, your balls fit so much better in my hands because they're like way bigger than mine. These are so small.
I'm gonna leave the chat.
I'm doing this for bed. I'm trying to learn this because like my hand movements in the car are like not great. I'm like not good at like quick adjusting and shit. We learned this because Julian and I would trade we would take the sim rig and we would trade pedals and the steering wheel. And like if I was using the wheel, could not drift. If I'm on the pedals, we were doing sick shit. I'm like, fuck, I gotta like figure out what's going on up here.
It's funny, I was just talking to Sam about this today, that we're gonna do some of that tomorrow. It's really good training to have one person on the pedals and the other person on the wheel.
Yeah. Whoa, that's wild.
Yeah, like with pedals, like
the right throttle timing,
no problem.
the right steering.
No problem. I could like he would have the wheel and we could drift like in sync, no problem. Like fucking bye all the corners, you know. And I also realized anyway. So yeah, that was kind of my shit. And like there's like a lot of professional drivers that like juggle like to practice before they go in events because it helps with like the hand-eye coordination shit. Yeah.
Wait, what? That's real? That's real?
Danny Ricciardo does it. Danny Ricciardo, that's like he juggles all the fucking time. Like before he does F1.
Interesting.
Him and his trainer will like fucking juggle back and forth like super fast, and they'll like try and like change it up and shit, like just to like get him in the like zone of like quick shit without thinking about it.
Damn, let's do that, dude. We should be at the track fucking swapping balls.
Myrone's like, I'm not coming, dude.
Oh,
fuck that. He's like, this was cool until now. I'm out, dude.
As soon as we went off air, people started talking about their balls.
I actually realized it's still recording. I'm probably gonna keep all this because this is good shit. Oops.
All right.
Anyway,
I need to go to sleep.
Yeah, but, I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you.
You guys too. What a hang.
This is the shit.
I'm like down to do this, like not even for our podcast.
Yeah,
I gotta get a sim rig. All right, do it. The word's been said. Talk to your guy.
Yeah,
we'll
call the plug, Mr. Got to Pa.
Yep, it's a fellow Julian.
Yeah, fellow Julian. All right, guys.
All right. Later, Gators.
See you guys.